On a picture-perfect night for college football in the capital city of Tallahassee, Virginia Tech comes a-calling, and the Hokies have won the toss. Chief Osceola aboard Renegade. And the flame glows brightly, Keith Jones, here at home. The Noles are 5-0 in Doak Campbell Stadium this season and enjoy an 8-game home winning streak dating back to the '87 campaign.
Florida State meeting Virginia Tech. As you see, they're leading the series. Last meeting, 1980, also here. Florida State victorious, and there's Coach Bowden, 49-8 underneath the lights, Paul. A phenomenal record at night here in Tallahassee.
A victory this evening would be the 110th in his 13 years here in Tallahassee. 25 weeks in the top 10, and that prestige and stout of heart showing by FSU has them on the verge, as we discussed, of appearing in a January 2nd bowl. You contrast that with the team in Virginia Tech trying to rebuild. They have a stout defense, Keith, but offensively all sorts of problems. We'll discuss a little later.
Well, as the graphic showed there, they've already played 4 top 20 teams, Florida State being the 5th already in '88.
Where would you like to go to spend your New Year's? Dallas, Tempe, Miami, or beneath the dome for a second time in New Orleans?
I tell you, it is an interesting and a very nice problem Florida State has, being in the hunt for a number of things. Of course, a lot of deals probably already cut, waiting for the November 5th, 19th invitation.
Richie Andrews set to kick deep for Virginia Tech. That's wide receiver Jeff Roberts to the top of your screen. He will not field it. It will be fielded by Jeff Reyes. And Jeff Reyes is across the 20 and up to the 24-yard line, a 10-yard return. And that's where Virginia Tech puts it into play. Will Fuhrer, a freshman from Bellevue, Washington, opening at quarterback. Bryant, a freshman too. In fact, Keith, the only senior that starts for Virginia Tech is their field goal kicker.
That it is. They have a number of sophomores and freshmen that will see action, especially there on the offensive line, made up mostly of juniors.
Rob Vaughn, a sophomore, over the football. To the tailback. Outside, Ralph Brown. And Brown with a fine carry. Across the 30, a gain of 7. Ahead to the 33-yard line.
Stop made by number 37,
Stan Schreiber from his strong safety position. Up to make the stop, and you take a look at Eric Hayes, Odell Higgins, and Steve Gabbard, the front line. The linebackers, Brian Davis, we have opening this evening, number 39. The secondary in a moment. 2nd and 3. Off the counter, Brown. First down for Virginia Tech and more. Ahead to the 40. And the 44, that's a gain of 14 by the sophomore from Hampton, Virginia. Brown, who wears number 3, is Tech's leading rusher. But he's gained but 403 yards on the year, and they had to come up from the secondary, Deion Sanders, to make the tackle. Tech looks anything but a team with offensive problems. 1st and 10, no score. Fuhrer, the left-hander, to the boundary, incomplete. Tracy Sanders defending. The pass intended for the junior tight end Brian McCall. At the Florida State 44. McCall, a good target, 6'3", 240.
Caught 13 passes already this year, 2 of them for touchdowns. You know, when you look at this Virginia Tech offense and you look at Brown, Ralph Brown in the backfield, remember he's 6'3", 225 pounds, and he has decent speed for that big of a tailback, Paul.
Virginia Tech, 2nd and 10 from its 44. The quick hitch, they're throwing it to Jeff Roberts. Roberts on the screen is to midfield. Deion Sanders on his back, but not before Roberts, a senior, picks up the first, and a flag goes down too. We may have a face mask over that way.
Florida State coming off just a huge victory last week in Columbia, South Carolina, 59-0, as we saw. Terry Monk there, our referee, giving the call. And coming into this ball game, you're probably seeing these first few snaps what Coach Bowden feared and talked about in the paper. Florida State coming in flat after that big victory.
First penalty of the game. This drive for Virginia Tech began at its 25-yard line. This was the 4th play, and Roberts just the screen in the flat key.
The flanker or split-end screen. You see Sanders get tangled up inside. That allows Roberts back outside, and you see the little grasp of the face mask as the official throws his flag.
1st and 10 at the Florida State 40. Coming to the near side, John Jeffries, the tailback. Shiver takes him on at the Florida State 35, and he wrestles his way down to the 33. The sophomore in Jeffries, stopped by that man, and the senior, the 3-year letterman from Tifton, Georgia, and Stan Shiver. Had a 13-yard interception return last week, Keith, against the Gamecocks.
Been a very consistent performer. Has played a little bit nicked, a little bit hurt, but always in there, taking every snap, and certainly a credit to that defensive secondary.
This is Roberts. He looked as if he wanted to throw, and Shiver got there too quickly. Downfield, Myron Richardson, the split end, was on a go route, yet he had Deion Sanders with him. Roberts is a converted quarterback, so he's fully capable of throwing the ball.
Well, that he is. He does a very good job from that backfield position, bringing a lot of diversity back there. You know, he's got a lot of experience. He's played a lot of different positions, and he's very versatile in the backfield there for him.
So Tech shows signs of stalling, losing 6 back outside the 40. Possession snap for Will Thrower, the freshman. And arching it downfield, Jeffries just off his outstretched fingertips at the 10, and he had a step on Leroy Butler. Brian Davis there too, and boy, did Fuhrer almost have the perfect touch.
Well, as you noticed for Coach Beamer there, Fuhrer's left-handed. Cam Young, the backup quarterback, is also left-handed. 2 left-handed quarterbacks, number 1 and 2 for Tech.
So following 9 plays, Tech's Chris Bauscha, a sophomore, averaging 33 yards per effort, will attempt the kick to the leading punt returner in the nation, and Deion Sanders. He hung this one up there. Sanders allows it to hit at the 10, and Tech cannot get there. It'll be brought out to the 20-yard line. 1st and 10 for Florida State. A punt return of 40 yards without a return. The Seminoles with the football. 12:42 showing, no score, first quarter. And the offensive line, which drew such great praise from head coach Bobby Bowden and assistant Wayne McDuffie, Ionata and Tomberlin, tanks over the football, played well too, Keith.
Well, Kuiper's back at his guard position, and that helps also.
And Chip Ferguson, who sustained the separated shoulder against Louisiana Tech, takes his first snap in 2 weeks and hands to the fullback, and Dane Williams, the senior. And Williams for a couple, and the stop made by Virginia Tech sophomore left end, Al Chambly. It's Chambly, Hill, the good one in Maranta, and Whitten, the front line. The linebacking core, Jack Jones is solid on the outside. And in the secondary, a 3-deep secondary, Keith, and Ganby Brown and Gowan. Second down, the tailbacking, Dexter Carter. And Carter off the left side, setting up 3rd down. Randy Cockrell, the right linebacker from Sterling, Virginia. Number 39 on the stop.
Paul, Tech runs, I would call a modified 6-2. It's actually a 4-4, 4 down linemen and 4 linebackers, actually 8 man up on the line of scrimmage, 3 deep secondary, middle safety with 2 corners. They can do a lot of different things against an offense with that setup in terms of forcing the run and then also dropping those linebackers back off to protect against the pass.
3rd and 2 for Chip and company. They need to cross the 30, and Carter, oh, he took a lick shy of the 30. Delivered by Cockrell, that linebacker again, and spun. Let's see where they spotted. My goodness. 50 tackles coming in for that 238-pounder. It looks as if Terry Monk, the referee, has spotted it first down, and he got it on second effort.
Well, Tech's defense has been much maligned, but it's been out on the field too long in the first few games and in the middle of the season for Tech. They've got 8 juniors and 3 sophomores starting. Everybody will return next year, and for whatever success Tech has had, it's come from the defensive side of the ball.
The 6th rated passer in the nation goes airborne, complete to Terry Anthony. Roger Brown, the right cornerback, over on the stop, but a fellow who scored a touchdown on a 44-yard reception on the very, what was that, the second play of the game last week in Williams-Brice Stadium. Makes the first grab of the evening for the Garnet and Gold here.
His 28th catch of the season, averaging 17.3 yards. And you see there why. They're trying to get him isolated out there with Brown, the cornerback, hoping that Brown misses a tackle. Anthony turns it upfield.
A pickup of 6. This is Carter. Deep handoff. Stood up at the line of scrimmage. Al Chamblee, the left end, on the stop, and they didn't push Tech back.
Florida State trying to attack the interior part of that line there. And, you know, when you got Hill and Maranta and Stokes and Cockrell, the last two being the linebackers, they go 270, 276 at the tackle positions, 232 and 238 the interior linebackers. They're big up the middle.
Excellent defensive size for a team that has not surrendered more than 3 touchdowns in 4 games. That's Virginia Tech. Ferguson deep in the pocket. Incomplete. Down and out, hunting his tight end in Tom O'Malley, and the ball was poorly thrown. O'Malley appeared open.
Remember, Chip hadn't played in 3 weeks. His left shoulder had a slight AC separation, separated shoulder. They brought him back slowly and need to get look. And here's a man that's been off for a couple of 3 weeks as well.
And Tim Carlo took the night off last Saturday. That's Myron Richardson, a junior. And senior Tim Corlew to punt to him. 9:42 showing, and this still scoreless first quarter. Corlew averaging 36 yards per kick, his best effort of 47, with plenty of time. Drifting to his right, Richardson from his 22 comes to the boundary. In the center of the field, he couldn't get to the boundary, and Alfonso Williams on the open field tackle, Keith, following the 42-yard punt.
Well, Alfonso Williams, a strong safety, could, and you hear this used a lot, but in his case it's true, could start for just about anybody else, but has had to play behind Stan Shiver. He's big, he's fast, he's strong, he has all those characters and qualities I sure wish I had when I was here.
He's a senior from Lloyd, Florida, Jefferson County High School. 1st and 10 for Virginia Tech, and the chains were not set, so they're hustling them down the field. Things going bad, from bad to worse for Tech. The clipping call there. You know, when you get on the downside of any season, Keith, and this is a team in Tech that has won just 2 games over East Carolina on September 10th, and then 2 weeks ago at Cincinnati, a 41-14 blowout. It seems to snowball for you.
Well, that it is. We saw the graphic there where Grantham and Peary, their 2 offensive tackles, are out for the season, not here. It really begins to take its toll.
Fuhrer, 1 for 2 for 11 yards. Toss sweep, right side, Ralph Brown. Right across the 10. A gain of 3 up to the 12-yard line. Linebacker Kelvin Smith, the sophomore and Florida State's leading tackler, with 72 stops in there. Wears number 36 on his back.
Defensive unit for Florida State has not given up a touchdown in 8 quarters.
Wide receiver is Richardson to the right of your screen. The lefty to throw and Fuhrer. He guns it, and it is complete. Across the 20 to the 21-yard line, and that is a first down. On the receiving end for Tech is Cullen.
First down, Virginia Tech.
Well, Cullen at 5'11", 175. He's their possession receiver. The Tech staff says he only has average speed. I know what that label is, but he has great hands and runs very disciplined routes.
1st and 10 to the boundary again. Complete ahead to the 28-yard line. Myron Richardson, the split end. Corian Freeman, the defender on the play. Richardson is Tech's leading receiver. In fact, that was his 68th career reception. You remember the great Carroll Dale, who played for Green Bay? Richardson now has 1 more catch in his collegiate career at Tech than did Carroll Dale, who played for Vince Lombardi's Packers.
A lot of balls from Bart Starr and Zeke Burkowski.
Game is 7, 2nd and 3. Fuhrer to Brown. And Brown close to a first down. And linebacker Brian Davis, the junior, in on the stop. There's Fuhrer. He threw for 292 yards against the University of Virginia a couple of weeks ago. He's thrown for 4 TDs this year, Keith, but 13 interception mirrors the fact he's just a freshman.
Right, well, the redshirt freshman actually had surgery after spring or during spring football. His left shoulder, which in his case is his throwing shoulder.
Brown trying to go wide on the play with the flag down. Deion Sanders was wrestling him there. We'll see if Kelvin Smith, helping out, was able to prevent it. And check out the flag, too. Terry Monk, who also worked the Florida State victory over Tulane in the Superdome, signaling offsides and indeed a first down. Offsides against Florida State.
Usually that call comes, Paul, when somebody actually lines up offsides. The defensive side of the ball didn't jump. They just physically lined up. They didn't judge that parallel line of scrimmage to a yard marker and got over in the offensive side of the ball.
This time a week ago, Bobby Bowden's Seminoles were up about 21-0 over the Gamecocks. And that man there, Frank Beamer, he was Mike Gottfried's defensive coordinator at Murray State. And he wants a timeout here. And he'll take it. He said it was my fault. I called it. I want to talk about the play selection. Quality head coach and Frank Beamer. And as he talks about it, we'll step aside. Scoreless first quarter beneath the lights in Doe Campbell.
Virginia Slims Tennis Quarterfinals live from Madison Square Garden. Thursday night, 7 o'clock, only on Nesson. NASCAR racing, the Winston Cup Oakwood Homes 500, exclusively on Nesson, Wednesday, November 23rd at 8 p.m.
On a picture-perfect evening, a starry night in Tallahassee. Virginia Tech coming off its own timeout. They played Florida State, John and John, on 1st and 10 as Fuhrer looks to throw. Chased and cranking deep. And Deion had a shot at it and couldn't get there. Nick Cullen, the flanker, all the way down at the Seminole 15, was the intended receiver. That would have been for Deion Sanders his 14th career interception, his 5th of this season.
Well, Deion hadn't seen this in a while. This ball is about 72 yards in the air from the left-handed Fuhrer, and Sanders not quite, even with his great speed, able to run it down and get two hands on it.
That young man has a left arm. He's 3 for 5 now through the air for 25 yards, facing 2nd and 10. Off the left side, a pretty good hole. And hitting it up inside is Rich Fox, the fullback. John Hadley, the outside linebacker, stopped him after a pickup of a half dozen. They ran that off tackle play just like you draw it up.
Well, they've run Brown wide a couple of times and made some yardage. That time Fox right up the middle. The Tech is showing some good discipline, coming out and trying to pick, go long every now and then, hit the short routes, keep the ball on the ground, and use up the clock.
Virginia Tech here looking to convert and keep that Florida State offense off the field. And it's incomplete, broken up by Corey and Freeman, intended for Myron Richardson on a bam-bam play at midfield. Freeman's happy. He has a right to. Got a little help from that pass rush too, Keith.
Well, Florida State had a blitz coming. 7 people up the middle. Fuhrer does a good job of getting rid of the ball quick, and Freeman does a good job on the other end, knocking the ball down.
Brian Davis put the lick on Fuhrer. The second punt, the first one of 40 by Chris Boucher. And Florida State with 10 up, and here they come. Well, it's a fake. Boucher rolling and throwing. Incomplete. They did not convert. Dinkins put his hand up there, number 89. You know, they saw the 10 guys at the line of scrimmage, Keith, and thought perhaps they could, either they thought the rush was going to block the kick or they could dump it over the rush and pick up the first.
Well, it might very well have been an audible at the line, but Florida State doing a very good job of being disciplined. You see it there, a former quarterback, able to deliver the ball pretty well, but Florida State able to defend also.
He may have been looking for Nick Cullen, partially obscured as he was. Still scoreless and stumbling. Ferguson is able to get the pitch to Dexter Carter. First big play of the game. And it's Carter, the junior tailback, galloping for 25.
Guard pulls, Dane Williams up. Guard gets the block. Williams knocks the linebacker down. Great move back inside. Carter using the boundary to his advantage, picking up a nice gain there. And, you know, think about this. Sammy Smith for better than 200 against Tulane. Parker comes in back-to-back hundreds, and here's another one. Dexter Carter. What's the line play there? Nobody getting angles, nobody getting after him able to cut up field.
Fakes the reverse to Carter and hammers it inside the 15, close to the 13-yard line. Jimmy Whitten, a 256-pound sophomore, right in on the tackle for Virginia Tech.
Whitten, the sophomore, as you see Carter's numbers there coming into the ball game. Whitten on the other side, number 96, a sophomore, but started all 11 games last year, Paul, as a freshman, had 90 tackles. Very capable player there from his right defensive end position.
Ronald Lewis nursing a sore left shoulder to the top of your screen, and it is Dane Williams balancing himself with his right hand and stumbling to the 10-yard line. 3rd and 5 now for Florida State. Brian Campbell fell on top of him, the right tackle.
Remember the last time Florida State had 3rd down, Ferguson kind of underthrew O'Malley on an out pattern from his tight end position. 3rd and 4 now on the +11. Time to move the ball and move the sticks.
Man in motion, Lewis, Ferguson, sacked at the 17-yard line. Taken down by the left tackle and Scott Hill, number 66. He is Tech's second leading tackler. Keith, you talked about that inside game. What a pass rush.
Well, he and Moranta had a stun on. Moranta moved inside. Hill worked around and backed outside and was free and able with his good speed to close on Ferguson quickly and nail him. That's his 6th sack of the season is Hill's.
Bill Mason, who is 5 of 7. Kicking field goals to attempt from about 33. And it's partially deflected. Off to the right side, no good. And Virginia Tech has held. Roger Brown, the right corner, got a piece of it.
Well, Tech has blocked 4 punts. They've had 4 of their own blocked, but they've blocked 4 punts, and this is the 2nd field goal that they've blocked this season. They, like Florida State, able to get in there. Brown does a great job. Look how he lays out there. He times his leap just right, lays out vertical instead of up in the air and able to get in front of the ball.
The Turkeys expected to be early Thanksgiving fare. The Hokies of Virginia Tech are proving to be anything but feasty here, Keith. It's 1st and 10. They got the football in a scoreless first quarter. Second man through. Phil Bryant, a freshman fullback. Kelvin Smith, the linebacker, knocked him down.
The last meeting between Florida State and Virginia Tech was a 31-7 win by Florida State in 1980. But listen to the 3 scores in 79, 78, 77. 17-10, 24-14, and 23-21. Tech has always played Florida State very tough.
Yeah, you played in those games.
All 4 of them.
2nd and 8. Fuhrer against the gray. Complete. Richardson out of bounds, close to a first down. Richardson, the junior from Richmond, Virginia, caught it in front of the strong safety, Alfonso Williams. It's a gain of 9. And that indeed is first down, Virginia Tech, and Frank Beamer, whose team has been struggling, has to like the looks of things early in Tallahassee.
Well, that's why I don't necessarily like that fake punt that they had. They were moving the ball rather consistently, and they put themselves in a hole, able to get away with no points, but they have played well offensively so far.
First and 10 from the 30. Fuhrer again in the air. Quick hit, complete. Cullen to the 37, 38-yard line. In front of Williams the second time. That is the fifth completion of the night for Fuhrer. He is 5 of 8, Keith, for 41 yards.
Well, as I say, he's a redshirt freshman, had that surgery on that left shoulder you see right there. He rehabilitated it. He works very hard. And if anything, they say he works so hard he's too tough on himself. He needs to just learn to relax as he has tonight and throw the ball.
Toss swing, 40-yard line. John Jeffries. First down, Hokies. Jeffries, the sophomore, 5'9", but 199 pounds and mostly in those thighs, replaced by Ralph Brown. 3 minutes, Keith, to go in the first quarter.
Jeffries reminds you of Robert Newhouse. Used to play with Dallas with the big thighs and able to move very quickly. Not great speed, but good speed, but very great quickness.
The backs are Brown and Fox. Fuhrer wants to go to the air. He's been successful there, and he's into Florida State territory to the 44-yard line. First down, Hokies. Myron Richardson on the receiving end for Tech. And for Richardson, that's reception, let's see. Reception number 3 on the night, off a gain of 11.
A tough throw for a left-handed quarterback, rolling right and throwing back left. Richardson settles right in the zone between the two linebackers, gives a good target for Fuhrer, and Fuhrer lays the ball in there for the first down.
Upended. Rich Fox at that right leg. And Shelton Thompson helping him up. Leroy Butler, the first to deliver the shot. He looks like a football player, doesn't he?
Well, I can guarantee you that 107 yards came tough, because it'll be tackle to tackle. And he looks anything but like a finesse back. He looks like the fullbacks that I remember playing against.
Second down and 7 yards to go. Fuhrer with 3 receivers out. The pattern wants to go to him. The short drop, incomplete. He had Brown out of the backfield wide open. They found a lane.
In an earlier series, when they ran the back to the top of the screen, when Fuhrer overthrew one of his few incompletions, was a back out of the backfield. That time, Brown sneaking out to the left. Had he caught the ball, he'd be crossing the goal line about right now, and not a single Florida State player, I don't think, would have been able to touch him.
Fresh jerseys in for the Hokies. Richardson along with Cullen to the top of your screen. 3rd and 7. Fuhrer rolling that way. Pump it. And the pressure forced the incompletion. Looking for Richardson. Eric Hayes, the left tackle, and Kelvin Smith, the linebacker, applied the pressure. And it's 4th down for Tech, and they'll punt.
Tech doing a good job of rolling away from the pressure of Gabbard and Higgins and Hayes up front, rolling and giving Fuhrer time to find receivers. That time nobody open. Had to kind of run the ball to the end zone and kind of throw it in line and throw it in the ground.
Boucher was a great point guard at Matha High School, and he's kicking to Deion Sanders, and Deion a second time lets it bound at the 1, and it skips into the end zone. It'll be brought out to the 20. 1 minute and 28 remaining in the first quarter, and it's upstart Virginia Tech and 5th-rated Florida State in a scoreless deadlock.
The Big East on Nesson. Be here for another great season. How would I describe the Bees? Well, by hosting the pregame, the postgame, the between periods breaks, as well as Bruins Weekly, I've seen all the highlights. I've seen the Bees at their best. They have bullseye accuracy. They're all business, breathtaking, barbaric, boisterous, baffling. And they're back on Nesson.
Trying to get something going. is Chip Ferguson on first down. Play action. And deep down the boundary. Wide open Dossie. Dossie out of bounds at the 43-yard line. The sophomore, John Granby, the left corner on the stop.
Dossie running the corner route. He's going to take upfield. Ferguson's going to play action fake. Dossie's moving inside. Then he's going to break it back out to the boundary. He's going to be wide open. The ball's laid in there very nicely. For Dossie, that's his 15th reception. Has his best average, 20.3 yards per catch.
He's to the top of your screen following the gain of 23. And Ferguson's going to the air a second time. And it's complete to the tight end, Reggie Johnson. Now they're moving to the Tech 40-yard line. They picked up 17 there, Keith.
Well, the last two snaps, we've seen the explosiveness of this Florida State offense. Ferguson's going to look to his left and then throw back right. As you see, big tight end with a nice target right there. Johnson then turns upfield, knows what to do with it after he catches it, and that's a load to bring down.
That was the third completion in 4 attempts for Ferguson. He's thrown for 46 yards, 1st and 10. Less than a minute remaining in the scoreless first quarter, and Dane Williams breaks a tackle behind the line of scrimmage and turns it into a 4-yard gain. Good running by the senior from Leesburg.
Well, we've talked about it throughout the season. The one thing Coach Bowden demands of his fullback is don't get tackled by the first man that touches you. And Williams probably does that as well as any back Coach Bowden has had here at Florida State, wherein he makes the first guy miss, makes the second, third, and fourth people be the ones to bring him down.
Bobby Bowden, who has not lost to Virginia Tech in 5 meetings while he's been at Florida State and owns a 7-1 record against them lifetime. Seeing the Hokies playing Jadaja early. Ferguson under pressure. Completes it to Anthony. Terry Anthony cracked out of bounds at the 23. First down again for Florida State. Herdman on the stop, Keith, for Virginia Tech.
Ferguson takes a great shot by Chamblee, but Anthony's right there on the sidelines. You know, he had an interesting quote in some of the material that the Florida State Sports Information Department let out. He says, you know, it may sound boastful, but the 4 wide receivers that we have here at Florida State are probably the best anywhere because we all can play.
John Eason, their coach, they call him the Fab Four. Penalty markers down. The Fabulous Four for Florida State. And Terry Anthony, Bruce Lesane, Ronnie Lewis, and Lawrence Dossie. And John Eason must be quite a coach.
Well, that he is. He's very patient. He's very understanding, and he works with these kids, but he's not soft. He works them hard, and they'll play for him, Paul. He's probably got as good a rapport with his players as a segment coach as most head coaches would love to have with their entire team.
Well, it's junior Anthony to the bottom of your screen and Ronnie Lewis, the junior, to the top of your screen. And this is Sammy Smith. Gallop into the center of your screen to the 22-yard line. Sammy Smith's first carry this evening, the junior from Zellwood. And that is his junior year stats.
Leading rusher coming into the night. Florida State, of course, with 4 great tailbacks, all of them contributing. 381 yards coming in, did lead the team.
Second down and 9 following the gain of 6 there. They may not get the playoff. 5 seconds remaining in the quarter. Oh, Ferguson to throw. Complete. Johnson, good move for the 11. And on that note, the first quarter comes to an end. Take another look at it.
Second time we've seen it in the series. Fake to Smith up the middle. Look outside for Johnson. First guy can't corral him. He turns back inside, and Gowan from his safety position comes up and takes him down the only way you can, low and hard.
Yeah, Chip Ferguson is 5 of 6 for 69 yards, and 2 of them have been to Reggie Johnson.
New England college basketball coming this fall to Nesson.
Back in the glory days of the early 1970s, Boston's pro hockey team was known as the Bees. The big, bad Bruins. And today, in 1988, they're bigger and badder than ever. Following a brilliant season in which they burst into the Stanley Cup final, the Bees are back. Back in all their glory and back on NESN.
Florida State with the football, 1st and 10 as we open the second quarter. With Keith Jones, I'm Paul Kennedy. As Florida State looks to earn its 9th straight win of the year and dance into a January 2nd bowl day. And this is Sammy Smith dancing into the end zone. It's the All-American Keith Jones who puts the first 6 on the scoreboard tonight.
Well, that run right there is typical of what so many people think Sammy Smith is capable of on every snap. Nothing fancy. Tight end in motion away. Everybody steps across, and Smith just heads upfield. Good block by Williams. 1 misses, 2 misses, and he's in for 6. And if we catch the tail end of it, you'll see the frustration of a Heisman Trophy season that's gone sour. We didn't, where he slams the ball down out of frustration.
Florida State drove 80 yards in 1 minute and 34 seconds. Seemed longer, but with all those first down completions, they were stopping the clock and setting the stage for Sammy Smith's touchdown run of 11 yards. 7-0. Florida State as the marching Chiefs join the celebration. Well, for Virginia Tech, Keith, after that performance defensively the first quarter where they held Florida State in check, it seems that Chip Ferguson and his offensive teammates awaken and they came flying down the field.
Well, you see Coach Bowden there encouraging these players. You know, if you're Virginia Tech, if you're Frank Beamer right now, you don't do anything different. Florida State scored 7 points on 1 minute and 30 plus because they are an explosive offense.
Run.
And you can only hope to contain them. On the other side of the ball, Tech has not done a poor job. They've done a very good job of moving the football very patiently with the short passes, some runs up the middle and around the ends, and just trying to be disciplined and patient. If you're Coach Beamer, if I'm Coach Beamer, I don't change anything right now.
You see the scoring drive and the extra point nailed by Richie Andrews, who kicks deep here to the boundary. And it's John Jeffries to bring it up the sideline. Flying downfield to hit him at the 22 appeared to be Lawrence Dawson. I didn't know a wideout could hit like that, but Dawson can cover.
Jeffries a threat back there, and you saw Florida State again kicking the ball into the corner. Terry Monk indicating Florida State offsides, and going to ask Beamer what he wants to do. But Jeffries averaged better than 25 yards a return last year, and Florida State respecting that and kicking accordingly.
Taking a look at his options, what would you do here? You want to kick it again and hope for a larger return, or settle on having the football 1st and 10 at your 22?
With Jeffries back there and Carl Borden, who's averaging 24 yards a return this year, I make them kick it again.
This is the 4th time that Virginia Tech, or pardon me, the 4th time tonight that Florida State has been assessed a penalty. They will march him back 5. 20 yards in penalties in the first half alone. Contrast this with the flawless performance a week ago, Keith.
Well, I'll tell you, a lot of people this week have asked me, you know, is that the greatest game that this man's teams, Coach Bowden's team, ever played? And I don't know if it's the greatest. I think Auburn in '87 ranks right up there with that. And Coach Bowden talked about that some this week. But of those 2 victories, then the fall off is great, because those 2 victories, both of them come in the first week of November. Both of them at the right time for the bowl scouts are phenomenal performances.
Well, it's pushed back 5, back to the 30-yard line. And the Seminoles will do it again. And Virginia Tech doing what it has to do to stay in this football game, coming in as it is a decided underdog. Closest to you, excuse me, Keith, Jeff Roberts. The top of your screen, the sophomore, and John Jeffries. It hits off an up man at the 30-yard line. Well, it'll pay off to take the penalty for the up man, and for Virginia Tech, Tim Boitnott brings it out to the 31. It ricocheted off of him, and he had the presence to scoop it up. And the return on the play is but of 3 yards. First down, Hokies trailing by a touchdown. 14:42 remaining in the first half. Fuhrer with 6 completions for 52 yards. A nice set. From the 37, the deep handoff to Ralph Brown. Nowhere to go. Eric Hayes, the 290-pound junior, celebrates the stop.
Probably down around 265 now, Paul. Everybody knows the story. Hayes came into camp well over 300 pounds, got in Coach Chuck Amata's doghouse, but we see a good job by him here of staying low, getting off the blocker, getting into the ball carrier to make the stop for little or no gain.
The fullback and the 5'9" Phil Bryant tried to block him, and Hayes didn't even budge. Fuhrer over the middle, incomplete. He was hunting Ralph Brown out of the backfield. John Hadley, the linebacker, on his back. Fuhrer and Tech will go to their backs, Keith. And Brown, in terms of receptions this evening, let's see if they've thrown to a back this evening. He's missed him twice when he was open.
Missed backs 3 times total, and Fuhrer just a little bit off when he goes to those backs. Been very successful throwing to his wideouts and long time to his tight end.
A long way to go. They'll keep it on the ground. And that's a first down. Phil Bryant breaking tackles. And the freshman gains 13.
Little misdirection. Watch the guard and tackle pull left, and Bryant goes back left, and Shelton Thompson gets completely fooled. Shiver misses a tackle, Dodge misses a tackle, and finally brought down there at the end.
Well, Butler missed one too. Near midfield and now into Seminole territory. On the carry, Ralph Brown. Oh, check that. That's Malcolm Blacken, the fullback. And a rare senior for Virginia Tech on his first carry this evening. Only a half dozen seniors.
Starting backfield for Tech. Freshman, sophomore.
Gain 2. First and 8. Tech trails 7-0. Fuhrer calls it at the line. Here comes the blitz. Everybody coming. He got it away incomplete. Looking for the tight end, Ken Barefoot, who was open. Shiver defending and a flag down. It brought them all.
And once again, I really believe that's lining up off sides, trying to get too close to that ball to miss it.
Terry Buck stepping off 5.
Watch Eric Hayes right there. Number 78, lower part of your screen. He's just lined up off sides.
The 6th penalty in the first half as Bobby Bowden stand her up.
I tell you what, I don't care if he's up 59-0. If you make the stupid, small, mental mistakes, he's going to be all over you. He's that kind of perfectionist when it comes to the little things.
2nd and 3 following the penalty. And Fuhrer looks right, goes back left, has a man open, complete. Tech with a touchdown. Jeffries out of the backfield. And finally, Tech is able to connect. A TD score of 44 yards, and the Hokie faithful in Tallahassee are happy.
Well, they used to say the 3rd time's a charm. In Tech's case, the 4th time's a charm. Fuhrer's trying to go to the back out of the backfield 3 separate times. This time, Jeffries just gets behind Freeman, gets behind Hadley. Butler too late getting over, makes a good grab, concentrates, eludes Butler, and gets into the end zone.
Out of Boucher's hole, this was a senior All-American in Chris Kisner. Conventional style kicker. Right down the middle. And with 12:47 remaining in the first half, in a surprise, we're tied a touchdown apiece.
If you're a sportsman, you've dreamed of stocking big game, hooking the trophy fish, taking the clean shot. It's an experience that everyone dreams of. Now, Sportsman's Video Warehouse takes you there with these action-packed hunting videos. How to Hunt Whitetail Deer takes you along on exciting rifle hunts. Learn mock scraping, tracking, and how to read sign. Hunting from a tree stand and stalking in various habitats and seasons. Pick up valuable tips and secrets from the experts. And deer hunting, which brings together bow hunting experts Bob McGuire and Noel Feather for advanced whitetail hunting techniques. Ensure your success with expert advice on scouting, setups, mock scraping, and how to hunt the wind. Climaxing with a buck harvest. To order these top-quality hunting videos, call Sportsman's Video Warehouse at 1-800-648-4835. Have your Visa or MasterCard standing by. That's 1-800-648-4835 for quick delivery for this hunting season.
A 7-7 tie is the freshman in Will Fuhrer, Keith, hurling 44 yards to sophomore John Jeffries to cap the 5-play, 64-yard effort. He was wide open.
3 or 4 steps on Freeman there and on John Hadley. Butler comes across late. Hadley gets a good shot at him in the end zone, but not before 6.
Took him but 2 minutes. Following the score by Florida State, and after a scoreless first quarter, scoreboard has some business now. Chris Kinzer, kick at it, and he'll angle it toward the boundary. This is Keith Ross from his 3. The all-time leading returner in Florida State history is up to the 30-yard line, brought it back 27 yards, and Keith Ross, that was his 69th career kickoff return. He's brought him back now for 1,600 yards.
Well, he's the oldest Seminole. Played a couple of 3 years of minor league baseball till he came to Florida State. He does a good job of following people in the open field. His 1,600 yards will attest to that ability.
Archie Hopkins on the stop for the Hawks. Here is Ferguson, 5 of 6. Starting first and 10 at his 30. On the delay to Dane. Dipping outside, running it to the boundary, and he's drilled pretty good at the 36-yard line, gained 6. Will Gowan, a junior free safety, in on the stop. I don't know, Dane Williams had speed like that, Keith, but even though Gowan, who you see there, had the angle on him, Dane still gained a half-dozen yards.
Well, not to talk about Mrs. Gowan's boy too bad, but he's about like I was back there. He's 4'7", 40. He was a walk-on in '85. They're going to characterize him like they did me. He has good accuracy of movement.
He's a nice guy.
He works hard.
Shows up for practice. 2nd and 4. This is Sammy off the right side. Maybe a yard. Sophomore right end, Jimmy Whitten. In there for Tech.
The one thing Gowan will do, back to Will Gowan, number 19, the free safety, or actually the middle safety, he bench presses 340 pounds. When he does get there, he'll hit you.
Yeah.
Strongest defensive back on the Tech team.
They play just a 3-deep coverage, and they're very thin. Granby, Gowan, and Brown. They have only one fella, and he's a freshman, and Damian Russell, that backs up all 3 positions.
Very unusual, but that's what he's called on to do on occasion.
3rd and 3. You see O'Malley in motion from his tight end position. Ferguson goes to him. He has it complete. That's a first down. That's a tight end reception. Took a couple of licks, held on, and gets the first.
That's a Todd Christensen, Russ Francis reception, where you just kind of settle out there and let the quarterback come to you. And then after he does, you take the TE off the end of your name and put FB, and you become that fullback. Malley does a good job. He knows he's at the stick, so he doesn't back up, sheds one, and just lowers his head. Boom! Heads upfield on number 2.
O'Malley, 6'3", 250. From Darien, Connecticut. A gain of 9. 1st and 10. Smith has the boundary. Runs through Gowan. Loses the ball as he sails into Hokie territory across midfield. Is it my imagination, or is Sammy displaying just a bit more intensity than we've seen in recent weeks?
Well, he showed good intensity in the Tulane game. The first game he'd really been healthy all year. Despite all the Heisman hype coming in, he's been nicked and injured, had some problems the last 3 or 4 games, and now healthy and able to show a little bit of what his talents are.
4 carries for 24, gain 6, 2nd and 4. The 47. Nowhere for Marion Butts, the junior fullback. Randy Cockrell, the linebacker, sticks that headgear in there again.
That's called the quick read. He's got keys, does Cockrell, that he looks at. When he sees what he knows to be a fast read or a quick read, he steps right into the line of scrimmage, and that time he's able to bring down the ball carrier for little or no gain. In fact, probably about a half-yard loss.
7-7, Florida State and the Hokies. And you see Tech can be feisty. To the boundary. Open Carter, first down. Don Stokes, the linebacker, arrived late. Carter thought he was shoved a little too forcefully out of play.
Left part of your screen. Carter from split backs is just going to work out, look back over his right shoulder. Ferguson lays the ball in perfectly to pick up the first down. That's the 17th reception by Carter. He's number 4 on the team from his tailback, part-time starting tailback position.
1 of 4 back there. You have your fabulous 4 in the wideout position, and you have 4 tailbacks who can get it done. That's his first reception tonight, Keith. They pick up 8, and for Ferguson, his 7th completion. Showing no signs of that injured left shoulder, his non-throwing shoulder.
Yeah. 7 of 8 for 87, number 6 ranked passer in the United States. He's just been probably the most consistent performer on the offensive side of the ball for Florida State this year.
Frank Beamer discussing with the officials the face mask call, and that's why Dexter Carter was upset when he got up after the tackle by Stokes, the linebacker. The second penalty tonight against the Hokies, 1st and 10. This is Sammy Smith at the 26, cutting it back to the middle. Inside the 25 to the 23, and sophomore right end Rich Williams, number 83, on the tackle for Tech. Gained a couple.
Smith going to see a lot of playing time tonight. Carter starting. Of course, Chris Parker biting at the bit over here on the sidelines. Florida State really blessed when they're healthy with a fine stable of tailbacks.
And Keith Ross, too, the 3-year letterman.
Victor Floyd.
The quick hitch to the boundary, deflected at the line of scrimmage, intended for Terry Anthony. Man matchup there with Roger Brown, and Horatio Maranta. He looks like a football player too.
Academically ineligible last year was Maranta. I mean, his stats are awesome. 6'1", 276, 400-plus bench press, leading tackler, 7 sacks. He keys and kind of solidifies and holds down the interior part of that defensive line.
From a 6'1" frame. Ferguson setting up the screen. He has Carter, no first down. Cockrell, the linebacker, slid out to the right side and waited on it. Made the tackle, and now with the football at the 25, it's time for FSU to attempt the field goal. And it will be Richie Andrews, who Coach Bobby Bowden sends out there. Florida State had a 33-yard effort by Mason, partially blocked in the first quarter, and this to snap the tie. Richie will attempt from 42 to snap it. Dave Whittington. Johnson to hold it. Angle to his right. And that may have been touched. It's no good. Again, Brown rushing from the outside may have gotten just a piece on it. It didn't appear that it came off the tee well.
Well, you got to understand, from that angle, coming as he does, as Brown, you've got to have tremendous quickness, and then you've got to have technique. Watch him lay out from the left of your screen. Watch how he gets up on that left foot, lays out vertically. I believe he got it. If he didn't, he should have. Not since Bobby Butler has anybody at Florida State seen both opposing or Florida State's team able to do that. Not even that man right there.
With 2 missed field goals, a half dozen penalties against him, Florida State a little bit upset. Virginia Tech coming in here with just 2 wins and 9 outings is tied with them a touchdown apiece. Fuhrer has it complete, but not for much, to Nick Cullen, the flanker. Shiver there on the stop.
Well, there's a gentleman you definitely don't want upset at. We talked about Gowan on the safety position for Tech, bench pressing 340. Shiver bench presses 440. Cullen's going to come back for the ball and try to turn outside. Shiver's just going to grab him and bury him. Boom!
Big stand. From the interior, the umpire threw it. And Tech now hit with its third penalty. Frank Beamer didn't like it.
No, he's not happy with that at all.
Those folks did. The freshman against the roar. Hands deep to Jeffrey. Carter and Dinkins. Keith arrived there first. The Miami junior.
Dinkins has shown all year long big play capabilities. See him step up to Jeffries and just nail him. Help down there on the bottom from Keith Carter.
Howard Dinkins, a freshman too. Second and 21 with 8 minutes remaining in the first half. And Fuhrer turns to Brown in the backfield. And now will throw. Near his own goal line. Sets it up. Across the 20 and ahead to the 22-yard line. On the receiving end for Tech is tailback Lamar Smith for the first time.
Well, there's the type of call that you can see why Frank Beamer was 46 and 23 at Murray State, where he was the head coach prior to coming to Virginia Tech. You know you got the crowd, you know you're going to get pressure, so we throw the screen. Good execution downfield, and Florida State closes, but not before they pick up about 8 or 10.
And 9 officially, Keith, will split the difference. 3rd and 13. Do you bring them? They got a 4-man pass rush.
Florida State in their nickel package.
Flag down. Prior to the snap. Odell Haggins got a good lick in on the quarterback, Fuhrer. But that was after the play had been whistled. You got a free shot at Tech's quarterback, and here's the call.
Possibly too much time or illegal procedure. Legal procedure, Terry Monk tells us.
I believe the wideout came across the line of scrimmage. Watch the shot here.
Watch Haggins come through, fights through the block. Beamer's heads up field. Haggins right there to meet him.
He doesn't like the fact that Florida State had a free shot at his quarterback. It's 3rd and 18 now. You march Tech back 5, and after playing nearly a flawless first quarter, they've been assessed 3 quick penalties midway through the second quarter.
Fuhrer, though, has shown a great deal of composure for a redshirt freshman, Paul. He's directed and he's dinked those passes out, those little dump passes, and one pass to his back for the touchdown, and he stood in the pocket well. He's been very impressive through a quarter and a half.
Cullen, number 48, just leaving your picture to the left side, the wide out. And in the slot, number 1, Jeff Roberts. As the clock may be malfunctioning, the referee, Terry Monk, on the way over to talk to Frank Beamer, Tech's head coach.
Clock operator probably started the clock when the ball was snapped on the dead ball foul. Well, of course, a dead ball foul means that the clock should not have started, and they're putting a few seconds back on in recognition of that.
Going to add 5 more to it. And Tech will re-huddle, as will Florida State, with the exception of number 2 in Dion.
His coverage doesn't change very much.
He's just going to go and get you.
He has one line in his playbook: go to the ball.
A lot of poise from that 19-year-old. On 3rd and 18, they'll run the draw a second time. And Haggins knocks down Lamar Smith. Or check that for Tech. That's Phil Bryant, the fullback. After a gain of 12. They earned a first on that play, Keith. Earlier in the quarter, came up 6 yards shy here. So to punt it is Chris Bauschel. And he hits it off the side of his foot. It'll be down at the 44-yard line. And from Tech's perspective, it's better to take that than to give that young man an opportunity at the return. 7-7 our score, and if you want to join us for Florida and Florida State, here's how you can do it. Send your name, address, and telephone number to the Sunshine Network, care of the Florida State Athletic Department in Tallahassee. We'll have a drawing in advance of the Gator and Seminole clash to close out the regular season. Hope you can join us here. Ferguson fakes the toss sweep, goes deep down the boundary for Anthony. He's got it. What a catch. Sensational at the 13. He beat Brown. A gain on the play, Keith, of 42 yards.
We talked about Coach John Eason's receivers. Here's how it's done prime time from the offensive side. The toughest catch in football. Straight over your head. Anthony reaches back and brings the ball in. Watch the ball come in. He reaches back over his face mask and brings it down right to him. That is a marvelous reception.
His third reception for TA for 60 yards. That's one he'll remember. What a catch. Descended from the lights. And playing at night makes it even tougher. Comes right out of the darkness, and there it is.
The perspective, the angle of the ball, the way the ball looks against the dark background is very much different than the way it looks against a bright background, a blue background. And it can throw off your timing, throw off your reflexes. But that time, Anthony right on the ball. You saw how his eyes, his face mask and helmet were turned right up to the ball, right over the top of his head.
Bobby Bowden looking to direct his offense toward the goal line and snap the Seminole tie. And Frank Beamer, whose defense has played very well throughout this first half, trying to keep Seminoles out of the end zone. We have an entangled headset, and first down marker got a mess over there.
You know, it's interesting, Paul, about these headsets. You know, if one of the coaching or one of the benches say that their headsets doesn't work or that they're inoperable, the other team has to take their headsets off. If one side does not have a conversation with the box, the other side can't have it either. And that's why the officials are over there taking the time to make sure that communications gear is working properly.
Well, Bobby Bowden conferring there with his tight end coach, Brad Scott. And they're still trying to sort out a mess.
Of course, the other problem with that is if you don't have yardage markers, you don't know when the first downs are.
Look at that. I've had a garden hose do that to me before, but not in front of close to 50,000 people.
That's the way the back of my computer looks every time I try to hook it up.
Well, join the Sunshine Network later this month when we tip off our great schedule of collegiate basketball. Our first game is November 25th when Central Florida takes on Florida State live from Tallahassee. We'll have over 70 games in all, highlighted by coverage of all the top schools in Florida, including the Seminoles under Pat Kennedy. Over the football for FSU. First and 10. Toss sweep. Sammy Smith driving his way to the 7.
Now, you see that explosion there, Paul? That's the Sammy Smith that Coach Bowden wants to see. See a little bit of a daylight, and you just bounce it and thrust it up in there. You don't wait the candy step along the line. You see him see that little daylight? Watch him put his head down, just run right through people.
Got a face mask in there, too.
A little bit of one, but that's the explosion that Coach Bowden is looking for from number 33.
It's Michael Tanks bending over the ball there, the junior. 2nd and 4. Rolling. Run pass option. He's got O'Malley. Can O'Malley find the end zone? No. Jacked up at the 2. Granby, the left corner, led the defensive surge for the Hokies. But that should be enough for a first down.
Naked bootleg. Ferguson rolling right. Throws back to O'Malley. Watch Roberts come in from your right part of your screen. The other tight end going to help him a little bit. Can't quite get into the end zone. Very close to the first down.
The yard marker shows 3rd. He did not earn the first. They didn't spot his second effort there. 30 yard to go. We're tied a touchdown apiece late in the first half, and this is the wham to Williams, and that nearly always works. Dane Williams snaps the tie off the left side. When in doubt, go with Old Reliable.
Going right over Tomberlin and Kuipers on that left side of the offensive line. The right side, as you look at it, that's the wham to Williams. Roberts up there tight end position.
O'Malley.
O'Malley. That's the way you draw it up. Williams into the end zone.
Richie Andrews to make it a 14-7 game, and he does. The Seminoles by a touchdown with 4.5 minutes remaining in the first half. And now this one takes on its proper garnet and gold perspective.
Best boxers in the world square off in great competition. Be here. Fight Night at the Forum live from the fabulous Forum in Inglewood, California. Exclusively on Nesson, Tuesday, November 22nd at 10 p.m. It's Pac-10 football live. See Washington and Washington State Saturday at 7 p.m.
Touchdown, 14-7, Keith. And following that poor punt and with the ball near midfield, it took the Seminoles but 4 plays to go the distance. Andrews with the kickoff. Roberts giving chase at the 15. Has to go back and get it at the 5, and he's in trouble. Out of bounds, right on the 10-yard line. Returned at 5, and when he let it get around him, he couldn't make up his mind if it was going out of bounds or not. Dug himself a quick hole.
Andrews doing a good job of placing that ball down there. They've worked the right side and the left side, kicking the ball to the corner, trying to narrow that field and to reduce those lanes. And Andrews doing a good job of executing.
Richie with a couple of extra points tonight. 4:33 for Will Fuhrer and his Hokies to do something. Brown and Ralph to the 11-yard line. Brian Davis, the junior, accepts congratulations, the linebacker. 6'3", 210, and he's really come a long way this year, Keith.
Well, he came in as a highly touted freshman. He left the program for a year or two, got himself and some thoughts together, came back, I believe, and Coach Ingram can tell us, and Bobby Bowden can tell us, I think he's technically a walk-on. I don't think he's a scholarship player this year.
Second down, they'll ride the inside, and Phil Bryant, first-year fullback, up to the 15-yard line. It's 3rd and 5 after the gain of 4, and Bryant on his 4th carry has gained 31. Kelvin Smith, the linebacker, on this down. Big down for the Seminoles here, Keith, and for Tech too. From the eye and Neaton 5, it's Ralph Brown. He needed to reach the 20. Just a matter of where they marked it. Alfonso Williams on a solid tackle.
I believe they're going to give him progress, as Terry Monk indicates, for the first down. But Alfonso Alleycat stepped up into that hole and did a good job of bringing down the ball carrier, but not before the first down.
As you know, a victory by Florida State this evening solidifies an opportunity to play in a January 2nd bowl, and we have the president of the Cotton Bowl in Jim Ray Smith joining us in the booth at halftime. We hope you'll stick around for that. 3 minutes remaining in the first half. Brown takes it deep, has 5, now 6. Edric Dodge came up from the secondary. Hanging on was the right corner, the senior 3-year letterman, Tracy Sanders.
The problem with the Tech offense all year long, Paul, has been consistency. We see them running the ball real well now. Brown working behind that young offensive line, doing a good job of turning upfield 6-7 yards. But what happens more times than not is an incomplete pass, a 2-yard tackle for a loss, and they lose their rhythm, and they're not consistent and can't convert.
2nd and 3. Trying to run it out. Rich Fox off the left side. Well, if you're the Hokies, you're trying to kill as much time as you can. Maybe pop it deep late.
With Florida State's offense, your best defense is have them on the bench. Your offense controlling the ball, controlling the clock, controlling time of possession. Because if the Florida State offense is not out there, it can't score. Likewise, when the latter part of the third and fourth quarter rolls around, if you've worn down the Florida State defense, you have the chance of putting the ball in the end zone.
Fox and Bryant behind the quarterback. He looks to throw, and it's knocked down at the line of scrimmage. That was Tracy Sanders who came through to knock it down. What were they doing there, Keith? Going into the flat.
Well, it's hard to tell. They only had a couple yards for the first down. They've had success with the backs out of the backfield. It might have been he was reading downfield and went to a secondary receiver, but at any rate, Florida State holds.
Yeah, they only needed one. And by coming off of a fundamentally sound plan in trying that, it may backfire on them. For here's Bauscha. The low line drive, and Sanders like a jet across midfield. To the 40. Still on his feet. 35. 30-yard line. A 29-yard punt erased by a 28-yard return.
This is why they call him prime time. Watch how many people get a hand on him. 1, 2, 3. Not down yet. There's a 4th one, a 5th one. Nobody's grabbed him. Not till number 6 does he go down 28 yards later.
Bobby Martin for Tech on the snap. Leading by a touchdown with the football at the Tech 30. Ferguson is thinking air. He's throwing deep. And it's intercepted. Busted route by Dawson. Granby playing center field. Had to simply allow it to come to him. Tom O'Malley was close, but I don't think he was looking for O'Malley.
No, he definitely was not going to O'Malley, and it'd be interesting. We'll know after the game when Coach Bowden gets asked, but whether Chip Ferguson busted the route in terms of knowing where his receivers were going or whether the receiver busted the route. They have read patterns, Paul, wherein they'll snap the ball and they have a basic route called, but if it's man coverage, it goes one way. If it's zone coverage, it goes another. If it's roll-up zone, it may go a third. And here you see Ferguson take the deep route. Dawsey breaks it off to the outside. Ferguson takes it back to the inside, and Gandy right there to pick the ball up.
As if Dawsey was supposed to go deep. Delay handoff, and shredding tacklers is Phil Bryant to the 25-yard line. I'll check that. It is Lamar Smith, number 28, rather than 29, Bryant on the carry. And Tech's right back up to the line of scrimmage with 65 seconds remaining. And now calling timeout. Tech uses its second in this first half. We have them with 1 remaining. And again, coming up at halftime, you see our lineup. The president of the Cotton Bowl stepping into our booth. Scott Atwell with an outstanding feature on this Seminole, Florida rivalry. And Keith, the Gators won today, had to come from behind to do so.
That they did. They've got a good ball club. They've had injuries and just haven't performed well. But I guarantee you, when Florida State, Florida comes around, from a player's perspective, there's probably not a bigger game during the year.
And we'll have highlights of the first half, including a touchdown strike from that young man and Will Fuhrer, the quarterback. A 44-yard toss to sophomore John Jeffries.
Just watch his attitude and the way he handles himself. Muir, as Coach Bowden looks on there, he's talking with his coaches, he's getting involved, he's shouting instruction, he goes back to the huddle, he encourages everybody, anything but what you would think of a redshirt freshman.
2nd and 5 with 1 minute and 2 seconds remaining. They'll run the draw. This is Malcolm Blackett. Blackett at the 30, trying to get to the boundary, and does. He earns the first down at the 32 and also stops the clock. A fine effort by Blacken, the 5'9" senior.
Well, Blacken there showing some of that maturity, him being a senior, able to break a couple of tackles and know to get out of bounds with the first down in order to stop the clock.
He's an art major. Didn't run the ball like an art major there.
Not at all.
1st and 10 from the 32. Pure fluff. Throwing deep. Intercepted Sanders. Dion at the 30. For the 25. Nick Cullen was open about 7 yards behind Sanders, and it was underthrown.
Pure trying to throw the ball a long ways. We saw in the first quarter where he's got a tremendous arm, flushed out by Hayes, throws across his body. Sanders there to step in front of it. And if not for a lone offensive lineman just kind of stepping in his way there, Sanders might have been able to go the distance.
A 40-yard return, and the left tackle, Skip Pavlik, made the stop. Now Dion is having a big first half, and you see there he is tied Lee Corso and just one behind the all-time career record holder in Monk Motorsport. Ferguson trying to get one more TD. Flag down. Complete 9-yard line to Lawrence Dossie. Now let's go back and see what the flag was about. The referee, Terry Monk, threw it in the Seminole backfield at the 33.
It's holding on Reggie Johnson, and he's a lone Seminole standing back at his 45-yard line with his helmet cocked back on his head going, why in the world, Terry, did you throw that thing on me?
Well, he's not the only Seminole to have been penalized in this first half. We have that officially as team penalty number 6, says statistician Mark Batchelor. So we take another look and see where he grabbed it.
Watch number 80 in Garnett. Moving right across.
Went right out of the frame there. Had a pretty good clamp on him, however. Well, the clock rolling now with 30 seconds to play. Seminoles one completion here, and perhaps Andrews or Bill Mason could kick a field goal. 35. Ferguson will scramble. Flag down. Out of bounds, 22-yard line with 10 seconds remaining. Archie Hopkins credited with the tackle.
I believe we're going to bring this one back.
Well, they're pointing at each other. We've had 2 interceptions. All sorts of. We've had the great punt return by Deion Sanders. And now these penalties. That was a 13-yard scramble there. All within the last 60 seconds on the game clock.
Still 10 ticks remaining.
Okay, Mr. Monk. Well, they balance each other, the holding calls, and that's an automatic first down.
Well, the cheerleaders for Tech had me convinced that it was going against the Seminoles. Defensive holding. Ferguson steps up a couple of times to elude the rush. Then he takes out. You need to look for white jerseys grabbing folks. Nothing there. Ferguson coming right at us. And that's what it feels like, folks. It's not a lot of fun sometimes.
Our Crackerjack crew with its camera work there. You heard the happy birthday to Bobby Bowden in our pregame show. That was our crew, the Sunshine Network singers that recorded the voice track on Happy Birthday, Dear Bobby.
They have more talents than we knew.
Yep. And Bobby Bowden trying to coach the talents of his fine quarterback and senior 3-year letterman Chip Ferguson to the end zone. Seminoles have gone 8 straight, now 9 straight quarters. They did without permitting a touchdown until that long strike by Fuhrer. But just 1 touchdown, Keith, allowed by Florida State in 2+ games.
That it has, and as you saw by the graphic, outscoring the opponents 120+ to 3 over the last 2 games.
Well, that's to be expected against a Louisiana Tech, but certainly not against a South Carolina squad that came into that game among the nation's top 20.
Well, Carolina squad, if I'm not mistaken, they've played Virginia Tech, common opponent. Of course, Tech's played, Coach Beamer's team has played Clemson and West Virginia and Syracuse and some other top 20 teams. They've really had a tough schedule this year.
It took Louisville, who's having a great year, into the fourth quarter before falling last week. With 10 seconds to go, 1st and 10 at the 12. Time for perhaps 2 more. Guns into the end zone, penalty marker down. Pass interference, the pass intended across the goal line for Dexter Carter. And Archie Hopkins, the defender, beaten, did the only thing he could do.
Well, Hopkins maybe not showing great athletic ability, but certainly showing some intelligence. When you're beat and you know they're going to catch it, grab them. Make them earn it. Gets flagged for it. Florida State will be 1st down. Not a lot of doubt about this. Left hand, right hand. I think he would have tried to trip him with a foot if he thought it'd do any much better.
They mark it at the 2. 1st and goal. And with 5 seconds remaining, Florida State has opted not to go for 3, but instead wants 6. Ferguson will try to go to the air to earn it. He didn't come up with it. Incomplete. A diving effort by Carter. And we're at halftime. Florida State leads 14-7, but there is some discussion here, again with the referee in Terry Monk. The pass was incomplete. Both teams are leaving the field, running into each other.
You see Terry Monk there saying to Coach Bowden, no penalty. Everybody might have thought, or a few people might have thought there was a flag down, but obviously not.
Well, it looks like Dallas, Texas might. On January 2nd, celebrating the Cotton Bowl, or anywhere in a big bowl game. On January 2, we have the president of Jim Ray Smith stepping into our booth, and we'll be back to visit with him in just a moment. We're at halftime, where the Seminoles playing beneath the lights. Enjoy a 14-7 advantage.
England college basketball coming this fall to Nesson.
The team's coming back onto the field where Florida State holds a touchdown advantage at 14-7. Florida State drew first blood in this football game following a scoreless first quarter. It was Sammy Smith, of all folks, Keith, going over from 11 yards out.
Well, Sammy doing what Coach Bowden wants him to do, and that's hitting the hole hard, breaking tackles, and getting in the end zone. And that was typical, healthy Sammy Smith. And there's the frustration at the end, finally into the end zone.
An emphatic finish on the first play of the second quarter. That made it a 7-0 game following Andrews' extra point. And here is a pretty pass, the freshman Will Fuhrer to the sophomore John Jeffries out of the backfield.
Jeffries does a good job of bringing the ball in, ran a good route to get behind everybody, eludes the tackle, or attempted tackle there from Butler, and gets into the end zone on that 44-yard reception.
Hadley too late, and Kinzer's extra point knotted us at 7-all with just over 12 minutes remaining in the first half. Now Florida State would go up by a touchdown, capping a 4-play 55-yard march. Dane Williams on wham off the left side.
Wham to Williams, touchdown.
Oh, reliable. And Dane Williams, a fellow who at times with the glitter and the stars you have in the backfield might be overlooked, but not by that man. He knows he has a dependable quality college football player at number 49 in Dane.
And when that man talks about players, Dane Williams of the world will always be brought up. Interesting statistics there. Look how close we are on total yards, 20 yards separation. The thing that has kept Virginia Tech in the ball game is the bottom line, Paul, time of possession. Tech has kept Florida State's offense on the bench, controlling the ball 17 minutes to 13 minutes.
And the Hokies have also avoided the bane of Florida State opponents' existence this year, and that is the big play. And in having breakfast with Frank Beamer this morning, he had said that the big key was not to allow the Seminoles to pop one on it.
Make them earn it. Make them drive the ball. And in like fashion, his offense to control the ball, keep it a low-scoring ball game. So by the end of the third, beginning of the fourth quarter, they might very well be in it. Going in the second half here, 14-7, you've got to think that he's very pleased with his club's performance.
Well, coming into this game offensively, Tech had moved the ball inside the 20 8 times in the last 3 weeks and had failed to score a touchdown. They'll be on defense first, and the Seminoles have it as we open the second half. It is Keith Ross coming this way. Good move. Clears him of the 30, and he flies forward to the 34-yard line. It's a kickoff return of 24 yards. Archie Hopkins on the stop for Virginia Tech.
Watch how Ross follows his blockers. Carter moves up, gets a block. Dawsey's getting a block. Now watch him cut back inside to pick up another 6 or 8 yards. We saw Carter do that in the first half. Keith Ross doing it at the opening of the second half.
Ferguson was 10 of 14 through the air for 131 yards in the first half. Threw an interception, was sacked once. Dexter Carter off the right side across the 35, stopped by Randy Cockrell, the right linebacker. Carter picked up 35 yards himself. In fact, Keith, he got all of those on one run. Isn't that correct? He was held in place on 4 separate snaps.
Stopped at the line on 4 separate occasions and reeled off that 35-yard run, and that's what he can do. You can contain him, but he may break it at any given time.
Now it's 2nd and long. Carter again. Not much. About 3rd and 6 for the Noles. And Ferguson takes a look over at the sideline. Scott Hill, the left tackle, 6'3", 270 on the stop for Tech.
Hill and Maranta both, those 2 down defensive tackles, both of them juniors, 1 and 2 on the team in tackles, 1 and 2 on the team in quarterback sacks, and Hill showing you why right then.
You get a good look at Michael Tanks, the center, along with Mike Morris, the split guard. That's Ronald Lewis to the top of your screen. Ferguson looking his way and throwing. And he's got him on a great catch. Across midfield and down to the Tech 44. First down, Seminoles. Will Gowan upended him, the free safety.
The Florida State receivers has put on a clinic so far tonight, Paul. Simple up pattern, old button hook. Just settle, ball comes into him, concentrates, brings it down, wraps it up. First down, Florida State. Junior from Jacksonville.
His very first reception of the evening. Look at Pat Tarberley. Huge. That was a gain of 19. Lead by a touchdown, 14-7. Second half just underway as Carter dashes through there. To the 34-yard line is Dexter, the junior. Don Stokes, the left linebacker, a junior, 6'2", 232, from Hopewell, Virginia, had to react.
Stokes fights across the guard there and then folds back inside. The media guide for Virginia Tech says that Stokes is the most gifted of the linebackers in terms of just pure athletic talent. Redshirted his freshman year, now a junior. He can play.
Gain of 9, 2nd and 1. Do you gamble here and go deep? Only one wide out, and no, it's Carter. Carter loses yardage. It was Hill on the stop again. Scott Hill, the left tackle, and Horatio Maranta on the inside. And there's Jimmy Whitten, number 96 in your picture. Well, he got the benefit of the bounce on that spot. Marked him at the Tech 35. In terms of third down situations, FSU has converted 5 of 8 in this football game. They need a pair here. That's Dawsey to the bottom of your screen. And the back judge will stop the clock. Tech has called timeout. Tech calls timeout with 11:48 remaining.
You know Frank Beamer's not happy. If his game plan is to stay close, grind it out, control the ball, you're going to need those timeouts at the end of the fourth quarter if you have a chance, if you're in a chance to win the ball game.
The Sunshine Network is where you can catch the best high school football players in action, and we've got 2 great games this week. Join us Wednesday night at 8:30 for Orlando Evans at Apopka. Our coverage of Florida high school football continues Friday night when Miami Southridge visits Homestead. Watch the Stars of Tomorrow play today on the Sunshine Network.
Orlando Evans is where we practiced for the 1977 Tangerine Bowl. Did Florida State when they played down there at Evans facilities in Orlando.
I really enjoy watching high school football and the coverage of it. The interest in it. My alma mater, Fairfax High School in Northern Virginia, 10-0. One up there this weekend. Has nothing to do with this game, although I'm proud as I can be. Needing a couple, Carter may have it. A free safety, Will Gowan flew in there. Horatio Moranta, the right tackle at the bottom of the pile.
We said earlier Gowan will come after you. Florida State showing a lot of confidence in Carter and the offensive line, needing 1.5 yards, handing the ball off deep, allowing Carter to get ahead of steam up. And I tell you, he looks anything but like a middle safety. He looks like a small linebacker, does Gowan. He'll come after you.
He looks a little bit like Stan Shiver. You could put him in 37 in garnet and gold. He'd probably look a lot like him. They made it by the length of the football. It's first down, Florida State, with 11.5 minutes to go in the third quarter, leading 14-7. Dossie to the bottom, Anthony up top. Carter fakes the reverse. Inside the 30. To the 20-yard line, Dexter Carter. Carter sweeping the left side. They ran Dossie around the misdirection the other way. Keith faked it to him.
You talk about timing. You're going to see Carter showing great timing. Watch him settle real, let those linemen get out of the way, and then burst it back inside. That's a great read and a great timing of a cut right there by Carter.
Gowan and Cockrell on the stop. Carter's having a big second half. 6 carries for 30 yards. And here he comes the 7th time. Close to the 10-yard line. Gowan on the stop again. As we've seen Bobby Bowden do throughout the year, he finds the tailback that's hot and keeps him in the game.
Goes with a hot hand, deep handoff. Butts leading the way, but the opening there is just wide. Anybody can get through it. Carter with his acceleration does. Gowan, the sure tackler, has to bring him down.
Here, 9, 2nd and 1. The football at the 11. Rossi, Anthony, top of your screen. Right up the chute. And inside the 5, Marion Butt. Marion Butt's galloped 44 yards against South Carolina, Keith, and didn't score. And then one snap later, they gave it to him, and he was in from a yard out. And that avalanche over the Gamecocks 7 nights ago.
Watch the line surge. Florida State's line just pushing that big defensive line for attack back. Chambly at 248, Hill at 270, Murata at 276, and Whitten at 256. That's a good-sized defensive line, Paul. Florida State's offensive line able to move them back.
His second carry. 3 tight ends. Carter knocked forward and comes up just shy of the goal line. Took quite a shot there on the right side from Sean Lucas. Either he or Cockrell knocked him about 4 yards forward. I think it was Lucas, the left outside linebacker, the junior.
Actually, a lucky break for Florida State. Lucas comes in and kind of ricochets him back inside. That allows him to gain some momentum. Carter keeps his feet, keeps driving, and nearly gets an in. Watch him reach that ball out.
The heart of a rogue. 3 tight ends again. The wham set. Touchdown, Marion Butts. His second touchdown in as many weeks. A junior from Sylvester, Georgia. And it's Florida State 20-7.
Nothing fancy. We've seen it before. From very nearly the same position as last week, does Butts over the top. 6 points, Florida State.
An 11-play drive covering 66 yards. Carter had 40 of those yards and 8 carries. Andrews with the extra point, timeout on the field. And the Noles increasing their lead to 2 touchdowns.
The Virginia Slims Tennis quarterfinals live from Madison Square Garden Thursday night, 7 o'clock, only on NESN. NASCAR racing, the Winston Cup Oakwood Homes 500, exclusively on NESN, Wednesday, November 23rd at 8 p.m.
If you ask Coach Bobby Bowden, Keith, in the locker room what he'd like to see to open the second half, he'd probably say take the ball and drive it close to 6 minutes and eat up that much time and cover that much distance, and that's exactly what happened.
Offense executing exactly what the coach is telling them.
Andrews following his 3rd extra point. On the return, Roberts to the 25. Good looking return, 30. Good field position, 31-yard line. Bill Reagan on the stop of Jeff Roberts, the 5'10 senior from Reston, Virginia. A 16-yard return. Tech with the football. And we get our first look on the second half with our fine freshman quarterback, Will Fuhrer. And Fuhrer, the 6'3", 195-pounder, was effective, Keith, in the first half, threw for 95 yards and a touchdown. Toss sweep, Ralph Brown. Not much. Around the right side, flagged out. Late hit. Bottom of the pile was Kelvin Smith, just standing up there. Dead ball, personal foul, and it'll go against Florida State.
This former DB is over here trying to contain himself.
You didn't like that much. Here's Terry Monk. First penalty of the second half assessed to Florida State, and in the first half, the Seminoles were hit with a half dozen for 35 yards. Now, this one is costly, for it moves the football all the way up to the 47-yard line. And I'm reminded of what our halftime guest, the former president of the Cotton Bowl, said, and Jim Ray Smith, that a year ago, Tech played Miami so very tough late in the season. Fuhrer on the run. Intercepted. Off the deflection. Dedrick Dodge at midfield. He was looking for Nick Cullen, the intended receiver, and just threw it too high, too strong. Cullen was open.
Cullen was open, but that time that rocket arm of Fuhrer's gets him in trouble. Out route, curl inside. Read Sanders well. Sanders jumped the out, throws back inside to Cullen, just a little too strong. Dodge there to catch the rebound.
That is interception number 2, thrown by Fuhrer. And for Dedrick Dodge, that's his 5th interception. He and Dion both have 5 this year. A little bit of a race there. It's Carter with the gaping hole, and he has the sideline at the 30. Go back to the middle. And 32. Anthony packed the left end and ran him down from behind as he thanks his offensive lineman for opening up a gaping hole.
Well, you won't see it happen very often where the back fakes out the play-by-play guy, but not the camera guy. Carter looked like he had wide open spaces to the outside and goes, whoop, back inside. And I don't blame you, Paul. Had I been talking, I'd have been having him outside, too. He looked like he had a good angle.
Yeah, back to the middle. He's having a fantastic football game.
That's in the second half. 61 yards in the second half.
Here comes Dane. Pounded it to the 30. Gained a yard. 21-7. Florida State marching onward to what would be its 9th consecutive win of this season. Its 9th straight at home. and ensure that we're going somewhere on January 2nd together, kid.
Well, the other things will take care of themselves. Florida State has to win tonight and just wait to see what happens. The question will only be where, not when.
Lesane to the bottom of your screen, and instead it's Carter in a foot race to the 10. Tech is starting to tire. Brown and Gowan from the secondary. That's a 22-yard pickup. Carter has gained 43 yards in his last 2 carries.
Morris steps back and moves back inside. That clears the way for Carter, and he just eases it straight up the middle. Nothing fancy, and Mr. Gowan and Mr. Brown there to bring him down.
It's his best night of the season. 22 carries for 118 yards, and he'll get it again. Second effort close to the 5. On the stop, Maranta from his tackle position.
Not a big guy, Carter, 5'9", but extremely quick.
650 showing. And Carter 5'9", 168, and hits it up in there with the heart of a lion.
That he does.
Dane Williams in front of him. Lesane up top. Carter, this time he'll give it to Lewis. And the Hokies play it well. Sean Lucas, the left outside linebacker, number 5, kept it contained. Scott Hill there, along with the right corner, Roger Brown. And that's Hill, slow to his feet. And asking to come out. The Seminoles held the ball 11 snaps to open this half, Keith. Virginia Tech just 2 before throwing the interception. And here comes play number 6 in the second third quarter series by the Garnet and Gold. On 3rd and 6. Ferguson. Touchdown! Flag down. That's Bruce Lesane. Will it count? A flag lays at the 7-yard line. Offsides, Virginia Tech. The score stands 27-7 as Lesane teams with Ferguson. That's his very first catch of the night, too.
Both inside linebackers coming. Ferguson works back to his right, throws the ball where nobody can catch it but Lesane, forces Lesane back towards the goal line there. Just inside of it, brings it in for 6.
Bruce with his 3rd touchdown of the season. Richie Andrews with his 4th extra point of the night. 28-7. And Chief Osceola, gallant as he is proud of the scoreboard here. Join Sunshine Network on Sunday, November 20th, when the world's greatest women's tennis players are on hand for the Virginia Slims of New York. Sunshine Network brings you live coverage of the finals from Madison Square Garden at 1 o'clock. Steffi Graf, Martina Navratilova, Chrissy Everett, and Gabrielle Sabatini are only a few of the competitors who have qualified for this tournament. That's Virginia Slims tennis at 1 o'clock, November 20th, here on the Sunshine Network. 28-7, your score. This game taking on its proper form.
That it is. As I said earlier, in the 4 games in the latter part of the 70s and the last meeting in 1980, Tech has always played Florida State tough. Coach Jim Gladden there in charge of the kickoff unit, a member of the staff throughout those years, and it's just been tough.
The drive, short but sweet, and it enables Florida State to capitalize on the turnover. Florida State has held the ball 17 snaps to only 2 by the Hokies.
Which would be the exact opposite of what Frank Beamer would want his club to be doing, in that keep his offense, the Hokie offense, on the line of scrimmage with the ball, Florida State's offense on the bench. The exact opposite has happened, though.
After surrendering just 2 touchdowns in the first half, Virginia Tech has surrendered 2 in a matter of 10 minutes here in the second half. And thus trails by 21. Andrews has it cocked at the 45.
I want to ask you a question. 5-yard penalty on the touchdown. Should not the ball be on the 40?
Ah, that's a 10-yard markup. Old habits are hard to break, and they used to tee the ball up at the 40. Nobody's caught it from either side. Unless you had a defensive holding call on the...
That was not the call, though. The call was offsides.
It may have been mismarked. They've had enough penalties this evening that they do a mistake every now and then. Andrews kicking to Jeffries from his 5. 10, 15, 20, outside 25-yard line. And that is Marcus Mickle rather than Jeffries on the return, and David Bassett, reserve defensive back, on the stop for Florida State following the return of 20. First down, the Tech men from Blacksburg, Virginia. And here's Sherrod, who gave up the big play that allowed the Seminoles to break this one open. Checking off, Byron Richardson wide to the near side. To his tailback in Ralph Brown for 3. A lot of talk in there, simply to turn and hand it deep.
Could be, you know, where he checked off to another type of running play that he felt would be more successful as opposed to just a pass play checkoff. Watch Florida State's inside linebackers. Watch how they step up, work down the line, take on the blockers, and close.
Second down, and we'll call it 7. A short 7 from his 28. Again, the second man through. This is Rich Fox. 43, stopped by Eric Hayes. Svelte Eric Hayes. Look at that midsection there. Vastly different from the way it appeared the 1st of September.
You're not kidding. 6 a.m. running. Just losing 10 and 12 pounds during 2 days. Watch him just step up, work down the line, and with that speed, now that he's lost that weight, closes quickly on the running back.
Skip Pavlik, the split tackle jump. Number 79, a junior from Virginia Beach. That'll cost him 5.
We talked about it earlier, but both Gratham and Peary, their 2 regular starting tackles, have been lost in the last 3 weeks.
A totally reshuffled offensive line. Pavlik is the only fella starting this evening that started a week ago for Frank Beamer on the offensive front.
My cheat sheets, my notes right here look all kinds of crazy because I got red lines through 4 of the 5 offensive linemen.
Richardson up top. Roberts to the near side on 3rd and 8. And Fuhrer cranking twice. And deep and over everybody looking for Richardson. Had time to throw, but nowhere to go. And on 4th down, the Seminoles will get the football back.
Here you get a look at what the nickel back looks like. 5 defensive backs. Sanders deep. David Dodge there deep. Alfonso Williams deep. The ball overthrown.
10 men up. Sanders stands at his 35. House should have punted inside his 15. He gets it away. A very high punt. This is Sanders near midfield. Back the other way. He has Blockett over there. A flag down at the 30. And Sanders is down at the Tech 37. A 26-yard punt, a 15-yard return. Our statistician, Mark Batchelor, has worked himself into exhaustion charting these penalties. Blocking below the waist against Florida State.
Not only that, he's run out of pencils.
The stop was by Craig Daniels as Dion comes off. That was penalty number 7, rather 8 of the game. And the roar you hear for Peter Tom Willen, the other half of that 2-headed quarterback. JT with 4 TD passes in a great victory over South Carolina. Will hand it to Sammy Smith, who's across midfield. Inside the 45 to the 44. Peter Tom Willis, the Sporting News National Player of the Week, due to those numbers. Anthony caught a touchdown pass, Dawsey with a pair, and he even found the third-string tight end and sophomore Dave Roberts for a late score.
Well, that 85% completion in that game eclipsed and set a FSU mark previously held by Gary Huff on an 84% outing. So he's in the record book.
This is Sammy Smith with the whole plug up, cutting outside to the 37.
Smith on the carry.
Roger Brown
Stop was made by Roger
on
Brown.
the tackle. See Roger there, the junior from Baltimore, or Balmer, as they say up on the Chesapeake Bay.
Well, Smith wasn't going to get around him because Brown has 4.4 speed, had 62 tackles last year. Very steady cornerback for these Hokies.
In less than a quarter, 12 minutes, Tech's defense has been on the field 20 snaps, and bad things can happen to you, and Peter Tom is thinking deep. He's going for 6. He's got Dawsey for a touchdown. They were out there too long, and Peter Tom was perfect. A 36-yard bomb. And Dawsey, who caught a pair, as we said a moment ago, and Columbia has one tonight here in Tallahassee.
Folks, this is just pretty. Watch where the ball is. You couldn't go down there and drop the ball from the goalpost better than this. Perfect pass. Great reception by the sophomore from Dothan.
Andrews to add the extra point. Well, it's a bobbled snap. And Johnson grounds it, flag down as he is tackled. Remember the rule, the new rule in college football, that the defense can return it for 2 points. It's intentional grounding here. Do you want to give them another opportunity? They're asking Cockrell, the Tech quarterback. I would think he would say no if it's against. Oh, no. Granby, the left corner, pulled the face mask. You have intentional grounding that offsets it. The score will stand, I would think, 34-7, or will they do it again?
We'll replay it.
Replay.
One of the few, if not the first, bad snaps from Whittington, who does basically nothing but snaps. Very much a specialist on this Florida State team. And Brad Johnson there, whose counterparts on the hard court, victorious last night in the exhibition game.
Brad Johnson, normally sure-handed in putting that down, the basketball star and backup quarterback. See Brad there, number 14. 34-7 the score here, and Tech outplayed in the second half, surrendering the big play, and Florida State pulling away. The kick was wide to the right side. He missed it anyway. Timeout on the field. 34-7 the score. It wasn't perfect, and Florida State still in command.
The Big East on Nesson. Be here for another great season. It's live, weekend-long coverage of the Virginia Slim Championship Tournament from Madison Square Garden on Nesson. Be here for quarterfinal action Thursday and Friday night beginning at 7 p.m. Then stay with Nesson for the semifinals Saturday at noon and the thrilling championship match beginning Sunday afternoon at 1. The Virginia Slims Tournament from Madison Square Garden. Weekend-long coverage live and exclusively on Nesson, your New England sports network.
34-7. Florida State over. Visiting Virginia Tech as Richie Andrews gets set to kick deep again. Mickle and Roberts in twin safeties. And this is Mickle from his 3. The 10, and he can't get to the 15. Reagans is there. Alicat Williams is there too. Just a 10-yard return. That is Alicat's 5th tackle of this game, and many have come on special teams tonight, Keith.
Well, he's played behind Shiver all these years. There's no doubt. And if you ask any of the coaches at Florida State, including Mickey Andrews, the defensive back coach, you know, Alicat can play with anybody.
Peter Tom Willis with the touchdown pass of 36 yards to Lawrence Dossie to break this thing open. We're still in the 3rd quarter. In fact, have 3 minutes remaining. As Rich Fox hammers across the 15.
Now I think if you're Virginia Tech and your coach Frank Beamer, you do get out of your game plan. You're down better than, well, almost 4 touchdowns. I think you've got to start airing the ball out if you expect to try to get back into the contest.
Did I say a moment ago that Andrews had kicked the extra point? He missed the extra point the last time. This is Ralph Brown trying to get outside. Lassoed down from behind by Stan Shiver. He is strong upstairs, isn't he, Keith, to do that?
440-pound bench press from a 197-pound frame. Watch the action. Brown's going to cut to his right. Shiver's going to come up, not have the great angle. Grab the back of the jersey and just come here, boy. He'll be good at steer wrestling in the Cotton Bowl. Will Shiver.
He yanked down a running back that had momentum and weighs 205. Here's Fuhrer, threw an interception earlier and throws this one into the bench. Kelvin Smith had wrapped up the quarterback back around the 5, the linebacker, and Tech's going to have to give it up again. Fuhrer in the second half is 0 for 3. And whereas things were going well in the first half, he's turned it over once. Tech cannot sustain anything offensively, and they're set to punt again to Deion Sanders. Chris Bauscha staring at 10 Seminoles lined up at the 17. Here they come. Just does get it away. Alan Stewart nearly had the block. Backpedaling. This is Deion. Nowhere to go. First down Seminoles, when they'll spot it at the 47-yard line, and there is a flag down at the 47 as well. Just a 1-yard return following the 38-yard punt.
Some of the extracurricular activity going on.
Here comes Terry Monk again. Terry's going to be fairly well known around the state of Florida if this keeps up.
I have to get him an agent.
Clipping. First down. I'll mark it back 15, and take a look at this, Keith. Florida State has been hit with 9 penalties for 80 yards, and Tech a half dozen for 55. 135 yards combined. Here's Peter Tom Willis. That was lovely. That completion to Dossie for the score.
Picture perfect.
34-7 here as PT rolls, sets, and goes deep again. This time for Lewis. He can't get there. Incidental contact at the 25-yard line. Roger Brown defending. You see the initials PT Willis. We know of Deion Sanders being prime time, but the Tallahassee Democrat today saying that we have a new prime time in Peter Tom.
The offensive prime time. Watch Willis as he gets good line protection, and he rolls out a little bit. He delivers the ball, and sometimes life is not pretty under the lights.
Scott Hill, pretty good lick there. 2nd and 10. High formation. This is Sammy Smith. Pop, pop, pop. 3rd down approaching. Bob Wellington with the Centel Classic, the PGA event, currently underway in Tallahassee, stepping into our booth, and I'm sure enjoying the fact that the Seminoles are leading 34-7. It's Jack Frazee rather than Bob coming up here. They need to put numbers on golf representatives so you can tell them apart.
We don't get them confused.
Put their names on the back of the Blazers. Here's Peter Tom on 3rd and 5. Over the middle. Good catch in traffic by the tight end, Tom O'Malley. It's a first down, Keith. With less than a minute to go in the third quarter.
1st and 10, Florida State. You know, we talked about the protection PT was getting. This time he just threads the ball in there between those two inside linebackers and has the time to let that route develop. Malley makes a great catch.
And Tom has 3 receptions for 19 yards in this game. Half a minute remaining. Peter Tom sets deep, fires over the middle, deflected, nearly intercepted. Intended for Lassane, and Roger Brown on the deflection dove for it, and clap of the hands, could not get there. 2nd down. Here's Jack Frazee with the Sintel Classic. Jack, welcome to the Sunshine Network. Good to have you here.
Nice to be here.
How'd it go today? How did Cologne?
Well, it was terrific. The weather's great. The crowds are much larger than they have been in the last few years, and some tremendous golf, just like this football we're looking at.
The first half was a little scary here, but better to fourth. On 2nd and 10, Peter Tom to the boundary, broken up, fine play intended at midfield for O'Malley, and driving to break it up for the Hokies is
Damian Russell.
Damian Russell.
You know, we didn't talk about it, but in the prior play, he was the one that deflected the ball that Brown almost intercepted.
Russell is the lone reserve. You see him there, number 41, in all 3 secondary positions in this 3-man umbrella.
In for Gowan right now.
20 ticks of the clock remaining in quarter number 3. 3rd and 10. Peter Tom stepping up but cannot get away. The sack recorded by Scott Hill. The 2nd sack of the game suffered by Florida State. And Jack, what do you think of that one?
Great.
Turn you into a football commentator here. The hitting a little less fierce at the Sintel Classic. What's your leaderboard look like?
Well, we've got 4 or 5 guys tied for the lead with at least 15 other players within 7 or 8 shots of the lead. So it looks like a great day tomorrow, and the people in Tallahassee need to come out and support this tournament so we can give a lot of money to the United Way.
Absolutely. Stick around. We'll be back with the 4th quarter and continue our visit with Jack Frazee in just a moment. Florida State well on its way to its 9th win of this 88 campaign.
The Maine Mariners skate off in great competition. See future Bruin stars of tomorrow today when the Mariners face off against the Rochester Americans. The best hockey anywhere is here on Nesson, November 24th at 2 p.m. It's the Maine Mariners and the Rochester Americans. Great hockey action exclusively on Nesson, your New England sports network. It's Pac-10 football live in Washington and Washington State Saturday at 7 p.m.
There's that, please. We open the 4th quarter. The Seminoles up 34-7. Keith Jones, along with Jack Frazee and yours truly, Paul Kennedy. As Tim Corlew may have suffered with a hand on that one. The Hokies may have got a piece of it as he was kicking to Myron Richardson. I thought I heard 2 bangs there, Keith. Just a 27-yard punt. The Hokes were coming. Tell us about the growth, Jack, of the Sintel Classic. I know this year you're going head-to-head with the Nabisco, which is one of the world's richest tournaments, but next week you get away from that scenario.
Yeah, next year we have our own date, the end of September, first week in October.
There's sure. We're going to come back and ask Keith Jones about his golf game. Toss sweep, right side, Jeffrey to the 40. You play, Keith?
Very little. I did want to ask Jack about Sintel coming in and being a part of what was known as the Tallahassee Open last year, your 2nd year of your sponsorship here. How's Tallahassee reacted? How are things going? What do we need to look for in the future in terms of television, maybe?
Well, I think Tallahassee's responded well. Our crowds are up about 20% this year. which again is important that the city support the tournament so we can give some money to charities, local charities.
A gain of 3, 2nd and 7. Right up the gut, Malcolm Blackett.
Next year, Keith, as you know, we won't be up against the Nabisco tournament. We'll have our own date, and we're moving the purse from $500,000 to $750,000, and we'll have really the full field, although there's nothing wrong with the field we have this year. Bernhard Langer, former Masters champion, is here.
Saw him walking around in the
Kenny
booth,
Knox is close, local favorite. Bill Sanders close.
Bob Gilder. Is Gilder here this year?
Yeah, he's here.
3rd and 6 option for the first time for Fuhrer, and he puts that headgear down and comes close to it.
This field has almost as much depth as Florida State. Not quite.
I'll tell you something. For the first half, we were all concerned about the way things were going for Florida State, but in the second half, the situation has changed dramatically. 21-0. The Seminoles keep outscoring Virginia Tech in the 3rd quarter.
Being a native in Virginia, I have to say that these old Virginia boys had a lot of heart.
Where are you from in Virginia?
Richmond, Virginia.
home of the Spiders.
Yes. 4th down, and Tech selected to go for it. And a motion, Cullen. Did not get it. Jeffries had nowhere to go. Oh, that hurts. Henry Ostaszewski, 6'3", 244. We've been talking about Tech's youth, Keith, but Henry is a freshman for Florida State, too.
Florida State very deep at the defensive line position, but they're somewhat untested. You see good penetration. Linebackers set up 74. Bingo. That's a 4th down play. 1st and 10 the other way.
Jack, you're not from Tallahassee. Where are you based out of right now?
Chicago is the Centel Corporation's headquarters. You know, Keith, you mentioned television. Next year we'll have 4 days of TV coverage on ESPN. So that should give the state of Florida, Leon County, and Tallahassee a lot of exposure to the rest of the United States.
Absolutely.
They ought to be here now enjoying this football game in this weather.
It's not like this in Chicago.
Not quite.
Here's Peter Tam with a touchdown pass already. Complete. 26-yard line. Ronnie Lewis. Curled in front of the DB on the near right side.
Lewis nursing a sore left shoulder. He was listed as questionable earlier in the year, or earlier in the week, excuse me. Runs a great out pattern here. Willis with a deep drop. Watch him drop the ball right over the outstretched hands of the linebacker and right into Lewis, and he rolls up on that shoulder there. No contact, and appears to be somewhat injured.
Now, he is checked out of the game. Dawsey and Anthony, the 2 wideouts. Sammy Smith, good spin move inside the 20 to the 10 and into the end zone for a touchdown. 40-7. Just a 2-play series there, and Sammy Smith has his 2nd touchdown.
The end zone or ground level look as he works towards the end zone. Good spin move, and then when he breaks into the clear, turns on that afterburner. Great block downfield by Tomberlin, and into the end zone he goes. Here it comes from behind. Watch how the number gets smaller and smaller as it gets farther and farther away.
Andrews, who had missed early, right down the pike here, and faster than an Arnold Palmer charge. It's Florida State, 41-7. Back with more from Doak Campbell in a moment.
1.
It's right up your alley. Big Shot Bowling every Friday night at 11.
Florida State, big, 41-7, and Keith, that is their 4th. Make that their 5th unanswered touchdown. Here is Marcus Meckel. The big hit. Paul Moore along with Alley Cat and Alfonso Williams. A special teams night to remember for Alfonso, number 26. He's had that gold helmet down there and speared more than one tonight. That's his 7th tackle that he's participated in. Fuhrer still the quarterback despite the deficit. 1st and 10 from the 22. And it's Lamar Smith. Maybe a yard. Jack Frazee, the chairman and CEO of Centel here in the booth. And Jack, you just told us to play quarterback at Randolph-Macon.
Right, not quite the kind of football we're watching here. But back in those days, we used to have to play both ways. And that was an excuse to not to be able to throw the ball more than 12 yards.
Play a little DB. Here's Fuhrer to the boundary. Roberts makes the catch and steps out of bounds. And Keith and I have been bragging on Virginia Tech's freshman quarterback in Fuhrer.
He's got a lot of heart. He's going to be a good one.
I really do like him, Keith, and if he can maintain his confidence, if the coaching staff can do that, what a marvelous future lays in store for that young man.
I hate to look down there and see a knee brace on anybody that age, though.
He's got a very strong arm. Jack, that guy will be recognizable to you from the back of the head.
That's what a great player. Former Masters champion, Bernhard Langer. I had the pleasure of playing 9 holes of golf with him on Tuesday afternoon. He's really a great one.
It's usually the view I have from the gallery there, rather. Back of him. 3rd and 5. Possession snap from the 27. Oh, he's in trouble. Here comes the blitz, and he dumps it incomplete. Had a man in the area, but it was Brian Davis on the blitz, Keith Jones, to force the incompletion. Ken Barefoot, the tight end, was out around the 33.
In zone look, Fuhrer's going to get flushed out. Shows a little athletic ability to get away, and then grounds the ball, but right there at a receiver. Number 41 there for Tech, Russell. No flags.
Chris Bausch to punt. This will be his 7th punt of this football game. Again, the Seminoles show a 10-man rush. Flag down. Bausch gets it away. Dion already at the 40. Spinning to the 34. Somebody, it appeared, was offsides. Could be the Noles. The punt was of 28 with a 20-yard return. Oh.
Now you have an interesting call.
Yes, you do. You take the return and make him kick it again.
I think you take the return, but if you're Deion Sanders, you probably are over there in Coach Bowden's left ear saying, let me have it again.
Jack, is this your first opportunity to watch the great Deion Sanders?
No, I've seen a couple of games before, and every time he's been exciting, and tonight certainly has been again. He's outstanding. What tremendous lateral movement.
Less than 11 minutes remaining in the game. Anthony trots out to the top. Near side right. Dawsey. 41-7 the score. Peter Todd. Over the middle. That is Anthony. To the 20-yard line. The gain on the play. The completion from Willis to Anthony.
It's going to be Willis's impersonation of a space shuttle. That was a rocket to Anthony on the little curl in.
Gain of a dozen on the play there. Jack, it's been great having you here in the booth. We know you got to get back to your group, and look forward to the championship tomorrow.
Thank you. We'll see everybody out there. It's going to be a great finish. Just like it's a great finish to this game.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks a lot, Jack.
Thanks a lot.
Fellow Virginia, Jack Frazee, the chairman and CEO of Centel Corporation, joining us here in the booth.
Florida State again staying on the ground after a good completion. Sammy Smith tiptoeing and high-stepping his way right up the middle for a good gain. Leaves them about 2 yards short of the first down on 2nd down.
I don't know if we can get another person in this booth tonight. We got a bunch up here. Oh.
It's been cozy.
Here's Peter Tom. Diving. Did he come up? No. Anthony could not make the catch. He came this close. Did the junior from Daytona Beach of hauling in the touchdown. Really a diving grab.
You're going to get a good look at it. Out pattern. Watch the ball and watch the ground. He gets down there with it. His mistake he made, if he were going to make the catch, was to get his hands between the ball and the ground in terms of not catch the ball down, forcing the ball into the ground, but catch the ball up, bringing the ball up from the ground.
Tomberlin adjusts to the far side left, the big tackle. On 3rd and 2. Butts fighting close to the first down marker, which stands at the 11. Al Champley, the left in on the stop. Marion with the tackle tonight. Scored it in the 3rd quarter. And that, among other factors, has been the difference in this one. The defense has forced turnovers, and the offense has stingily clung to the football.
And on this 4th down play, we're going to, I would imagine, see some of the Hogs at work. Look for Butts right over Tomberlin, left side of the line of scrimmage.
They need a yard. It's Butts, and he didn't get it. Tech rose up to push him back. Bobby Martin on that defensive front, number 90, down there.
Line search, most important. Good penetration by Tech and good step in there by the linebacker to meet Butts. And if they were going to have a chance of stopping him, number 39 there for Tech, Cockrell stepped right in and made that chance happen.
Flag down after the play. Okay, Mr. Monk sorting things out. You see Jimmy Whitten, the defensive end that appears to be rather steamed at the moment.
It's going to be first down Tech, and then they're going to mark the penalty off after the fact. A dead ball foul. Ball will turn over on downs, but Tech will start back up, if I read those signals correctly.
A number of our members on this crew worked the Olympics in Seoul, and from what they tell me, that was much like a Korean policeman at rush hour directing traffic. They've been through. Look at this. Against Virginia Tech, unsportsmanlike conduct. They'll push him back 5, yet they get to keep the ball and invert still another FSU score. You need to go to official college to be able to weed your way through that story problem. The 7th penalty assessed to Virginia Tech. And on that note, we remind you that this telecast is authorized under rights granted to the Sunshine Network. It is not intended for the commercial use of our viewing audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of this telecast without the express written consent of the Sunshine Network and Florida State University is prohibited. 140 yards between the two teams and 48 points as well. And the inside handoff goes to the fullback and Malcolm Blackett. Less than 9 minutes remain. Tech will fly home to Blacksburg to conclude its season against 1AA member James Madison next week. The Noles have the weekend off and garner their forces for that November 26th date right here with Florida. Roger Smith around the right side, or Ralph Brown rather, and those legs going hard. Brown with a gain of 4. Brown, a sophomore. A lot of kids on this Tech team.
And looking at the game day notes, it appeared that Tech physically brought more people to Tallahassee than Florida State dressed out, giving these kids the opportunity to be exposed to Campbell Stadium.
Holding assessed to Florida State. Automatic first down. Penalty number 10. What would Bobby Bowden say to you, Keith, when you played if you'd earned 90 yards in penalty?
Well, that'd be the first thing he's going to talk to him about after the game, I'll guarantee you, even before he congratulates him on the victory.
Off the right side, Malcolm Blackett. James Chaney, a freshman nose tackle. Fellow who can bench 450 pounds himself, number 96. On the stop.
Sometimes the life of a tailback is not easy. Oh, no. That hurts all the way up here.
A play before. Live and learn. 2nd and 10. Tech had too many men on the field. They'll throw the string out here to Roberts. Roberts looked as if he wanted to throw a second time. And now a flag goes down as he's shoved out of play. Flags are flying. And one thing that Tech was not assessed was Marcus Mickle being on the field and trying to get off before the ball was snapped. The ball was snapped. Mickle was still sprinting to the sideline.
Well, Florida State, I think, is going to be guilty of unnecessary roughness here, unsportsmanlike conduct, late hit out of bounds. But you're absolutely right, Paul. Tech had 12 people on the field, was not flagged for that. The officials, have been busy tonight.
They sure have. Terry Monk. Need to get him a cold one and prop those feet up.
Really?
And this night's done. And stepping all the way off across the 40 up to the 43-yard line. There's Bernhard.
Was the first one out on the Centel shootout. Came back the next day and was 6 under.
Blackett. Another flag. 45, 46-yard line. The flag came in there.
This will be penalty number 19.
Now this is where, with the dead ball personal foul call against Florida State and their consecutive, where Terry Monk is doing his best to maintain control of the football game.
He's making sure, he and his team of officials are making sure that those unnecessary hits don't get out of hand by, as Barney Fife would say, nipping it in the bud.
John Hadley being talked to by his head coach, who walked over to talk to him. We're on our way to 200 yards in penalties with 7:10 remaining. A penalty-aided drive. Football resting at the 39 as Tech breaks the huddle. Richardson along with Cullen, the two wideouts to the top of your screen. Roberts fakes the reverse from the tailback position. Breaks the tackle inside the 30. First down, 20. Flag down to the 17-yard line. And the clock stopped with 7 minutes to go. Alfonso Williams on the stand.
Tech using some of Florida State's trickery, faking the reverse.
The third consecutive major infraction.
I'm going to tell you that if I were Coach Bowden right now, I would take a timeout and I would bring my defensive team off the field. And they and I would have a little set to real quick on the sidelines, because this is not how the number 5 team in the country is supposed to be reacting with 7 minutes left in the fourth quarter, up 41-7.
It's first and goal, Hokie. And on this drive, Florida State has been penalized 4 times for 55 yards on this drive alone. Cullen. Inside handoff, Rich Fox, the fullback, for a yard. Kelvin Smith on the stump. And as I scan the field, to our relief, there's not a flag.
To my amazement.
On the green grass. And the clock begins to tick again. 3 straight times. Second from the 8. On the option pitch, loose ball. Out of bounds. Virginia Tech's ball. Lamar Smith, the halfback, could not handle the errant pitch from Fuhrer. Our football game tonight being beamed throughout the nation on our brand new satellite uplink truck, operated by Robert Smith of our staff. And should you see that brand new piece of equipment around the United States, please introduce yourself to Robert. We'd love to give you a baseball cap, a Sunshine Network baseball cap for your very own. But we're pretty proud of that piece of equipment and the growth of the Sunshine Network. Inside handoff to the 5, it's Rich Fox. To the 4-yard line, Odell Higgins and Eric Slim Hayes made the tackle.
I don't know if we should call him Slim or Svelte. I like Svelte.
You like Svelte?
What a ball player.
He's lost his spear on the right side of his hip gear.
Well, there's been some head knocking going on down there, I'll guarantee you. Hayes has been right in the middle of it.
Before and after the whistle.
Unfortunately.
Florida State trying to put together a little goal line stand, and Virginia Tech trying to get it into the end zone. So on 4th and goal from the 5, Fuhrer and Tech is going to call timeout. 5:17 to go in the football game from Doak Campbell Stadium in Tallahassee. Florida State with victory already assured.
Whether you're a big leaguer or a little leaguer and everything in between, everyone needs to know as much as they can about pitching of a baseball. In Pitching Absolutes, our first video, we had positive feedback from the United States and all over the world. In Pitching Mechanics, a sequel to the original video, we identify problems. We give you solutions. We take you in the weight room and show you how to condition yourself to throw a baseball properly. We show you specific drills that will reinforce positive mechanics of throwing a baseball, and we also give you where to find information if you want to do further research. If you have problems as a pitcher, if you have problems as a coach teaching your pitchers, here is how to order.
Call 1-800-338-2921 for this 93-minute videotape by Texas Rangers pitching coach Tom House. Operators are standing by. 1-800-338-2921.
Virginia Tech on 4th and 5, trailing 41-7, not having a play that it thought would earn 5 yards, was elected to allow Chris Kisner to kick the field goal, and the chip shot is good, yet he was roughed after he kicked it.
That's an automatic first down.
That would be the 4th personal foul tacked on to the Garnet and Gold in this drive alone, and Kisner really took a shot from Leroy Butler.
Biggest part of that play, Paul, is that's an automatic first down. Tech will have 4 more shots to get in the end zone.
They're talking to the Hokies. Those points come down off the board, obviously. The field goal was good from 22 yards out. But if you take the penalty, you erase the 3.
That's true. Now we have a decision on Coach Beamer's part.
Is it rock or paper? The official with the fist and the player with the open palm. Make a decision, Coach. Roughing the kicker. 4th down. Must have been running into the kicker.
Must have been running into the kicker, correct.
Well, Kisner got up limping. Thought he took a pretty good leg. That's half the distance to the goal, so now it's on the 2. And Fuhrer is going to return to the game. And now, rather than being 5 yards away, just 2 yards away, Coach Frank Beamer will go for it. On 4th down, Tech is 0 for 2 converting. They have to get into the end zone here. 4th and goal. High set. Down the line option. And diving for the touchdown, Lamar Smith. Touchdown Hokies. In in the strangest, most penalty-aided drive, if not in college football history. This one might stand the test of time as far as Florida State's concerned.
They ran the option earlier. This time they just pitch it out. Airborne we go.
On the heels of 4 major personal foul infractions. And Kisner has the extra point. 41-14. The score. Timeout on the field. 5 minutes and 10 seconds remaining in the football game. They're grumbling. Is this crowd of better than 50,000 here in Tallahassee? And if they're Seminoles tomorrow morning, all that will matter, Keith, is the fact that Florida State, ranked 5th, will stand 9-1. And unfortunately, if you're a Tech fan, the Hokies will wake up at 2-8. Back with the finish right after this.
Alley loses it underneath buckets.
Sports on Nesson really explodes when another great season of college basketball excitement returns. See the top collegiate players from around the country as Nesson coverage brings you games featuring New England college basketball, the Big East, the Big 8, Pac-10, Southeast Conference, Southwest Conference, CAA, and much more. Another great season of college basketball is coming to Nesson, your New England sports network, where we deliver.
The adventure of deep-sea diving. The lure of the unknown. A world of mystery few see. Join Nesson each week for Divers Down. Hosts Mark Stanton and Bob Michelson take you on a journey beneath the waves for diving adventures that will enthrall and captivate you. That's Divers Down here on Nesson each week. See Divers Down Friday at 10:30 p.m.
The Big East on Nesson. Be here for another great season.
Keith Jones and I wearing our Cliff Ingalls sweaters this evening. And Keith, even though we have a garnet and gold perspective on this one, I'm particularly pleased with the fact that Virginia Tech, that 94-yard drive, 58 yards, came in the form of penalties.
Tech trying the offense, offsides kick, or excuse me, onside kick. I'll get it right in a minute.
There's Billy Reagan's falling on it. Now, if they want to play that way, you know what Bobby Bowden's going to do? The ball's going upstairs. You want to get the clock rolling and play it out? The Seminoles might too. But with that big lead of 41-14, take a look at the time remaining. Here's Peter Tom, and he has the football on the benefit of that short chop in Tech territory. Indeed, he goes to the air. All the time in the world, he's thinking 6 into the end zone. Incomplete. It was Bruce Lesane at the goal line trying to reach around the defender, and he could not come up with it. And Peter Tom threw that ball 60 yards. Roger Brown, the defender.
Of the two, Willis probably with the stronger arm between he and Ferguson. Can really air it out. Talking with Jack earlier, Jack Frazee from the Centel Classic, Peter Tom in the offseason about a 7 or 8 handicap, they tell me. I played a couple of times with him, and he could really hit a golf ball too.
There's a nice feature in the paper today about all the coaches that like to play. Second down, Peter Tom again. To the sideline, complete. Chris Parker flagged down. Parker loses the handle on a play.
Another flag down.
Leslie Bailey credited with the tackle.
You notice the surprise in my voice. You know, you talk about the article in the Democrat today about the FSU coaches. It was interesting in the media guide for Tech. They asked the players what was the most demanding sport that they played, and the Tech players said golf.
Yeah, the Tech
majority
players loved it.
Not only that, I love the comment by Coach Wally Burlum, the inside linebacker coach for Florida State, when he talked about his golf game. We see pass interference, offensive pass interference. They said, he said, I just don't play well. He says, I have the choice of playing golf or going fishing, and I don't like to fish.
Well, if you will forgive us for all of these penalties, we promise you that on November 26th it may be a sight better. And if you want to join us, here's how you can. Absolutely free as guests of the Sunshine Network. Just your name, address, and telephone number to that address there. Florida State Athletic Department, Tallahassee, Florida. And a charming couple who'll be joining us on the 26th. Our winners, Joe Workman from Lakeland, Florida. Congratulations, you've won a pair for the showdown between the Gators